So on the note of punctuality, I want to welcome you guys. Thank you so much for being here today. How to avoid procrastination. I love that. Great question. Oh, Logan is in Fort Lauderdale Beach. Please, brother, hit me up tonight after this. It's probably gonna be about 9 o'clock, 9:30. You have my number, and my phone will be on. It's not on now. It's silenced, but it'll be on that time. Give me a shout, man. I got a babysitter tonight. Okay. All right, guys, welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm like a little intimidated. I got a bunch of screens and stuff going on, but really excited to spend the next hour or two with you. So I want to start off with two pretty simple, pretty easy things. The first one is going to be a kind of an exercise that I start, all of my trainings off with. And the second one is going to be like kind of housekeeping stuff. So let's actually start with the housekeeping. And you guys know I'm pretty free-flowing, open kind of guy. So I don't have like super strict rules. But for your benefit, I want to make a large majority of this presentation, even some of these concepts and slides I've shared before, I've even kind of condensed certain concepts and certain ideas because I want to like really just talk with and interact with you guys. We're doing a pure content call today, but at the same time, I kind of want to I have some things that I want to run through first. And in doing so, in terms of the chat log, I'm going to be kind of monitoring it. So feel free to post your questions at any time. And if of course, if it makes sense on the topic that I'm on, we can divert and cover it. But I'm probably going to, I'm not even telling you the whole question till the end, drop them whenever, but if I miss them, just be prepared to like copy and paste them at the end, because I want to do all of them at once, right? So that's kind of the big thing in terms of your questions. Don't think I'm ignoring you guys. It's just like, I want to keep a cadence, like keep on track, keep on point. And then at the end, we'll do all the questions. And that's also because this is my first time we're live streaming in the chat room on YouTube, on my Facebook group page, on my Facebook, a different group. So we got a bunch of stuff going on, right? And Instagram, folks, you guys should go to YouTube so you can watch the actual presentation. Now, on the next note, some of you guys might be familiar with this exercise, but some of the things we're going to talk about technique. We're going to talk about things that are very tangible, action steps. So I hope that you have, pen and paper and you're ready to take notes. I always prefer to do my notes with actual pen and paper. I find that typing just isn't the same for me personally. But we're also going to touch on some mindset ideas, some mindset shifts. And so the very first thing I'm going to start with is that, guys, this stuff all really begins with a shift in your identity. Like, you really, from this point forward, like, I want you to look at the clock and be like, yo, at 7:03 on April 29th, 2021, I stopped thinking of myself as, like, strictly a student. Like, yeah, we're always going to be students of the game, but I mean, strictly, learning, and you really want to start defining yourself from this point forward. I am a wholesaler. I am a real estate investor. This is who I am. Internalize that. This is what I do. And so what does that mean? It means from this point forward, you need to start looking for opportunities to do deals everywhere you go. I don't care if you go to Starbucks and you're talking to the barista. Hey, man, just so tell them what you're doing. Would you happen, I know this is a kind of an awkward question, but, I'm a real estate investor, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking for something new in town. Would you happen to know anyone looking to sell? Or, you can put your criteria out there, anything like that. But the point here being is you are now in an environment. This is like my world. These are my people. You guys are like my circle, right? It's going to be a very, very safe space. And so rather than just saying hey to me and hi to each other, what I really want you to do is come on here and give a brief introduction, kind of like your 30-second elevator pitch, but like even shorter, and just say, hey, I'm Jeff from XYZ. I'm brand new to the game. Or hey, I'm Mario from New York, and I've done 3 deals. I'm looking to connect with other people from and then drop where you're from. This is my phone number. This is your email. I don't know. Some people are kind of weird or kind of stingy with maybe their network. I'm always trying to meet people, whether it's for business or in my personal life, or people to hang out with. And I think you should always be trying to do that, right? So I really want to encourage you. Let's just take 5 minutes to do that while we're waiting for everyone else to kind of get in here. Drop your information, tell everyone where you're from, tell them what you do, and connect with people. And then the second part to that is not only I want to really encourage you to actually do that. There's so many things I'm going to say tonight. They're going to sound good in practice, in theory, and you're going to say, oh yeah, man, like I should do that. Right? That sounds good, but you have to actually do it. You know what I'm saying? To really understand or to really get the benefit of the concept that I'm teaching here, right? So for you guys, like I want to see the chat popping, man. Like actually do this. Where are you from? What are you looking for? Who you want to connect with? Drop an email, drop your Facebook link, drop your phone number. And then the second part of that is like, while it's cool for you to take the initiative and actually do that, the next thing you want to do is you never want to expect other people to take the initiative. So then if you see people that are in your market, or maybe they aren't, I don't know, but like the networks are a funny thing, right? You never know who you can run into, or who knows who, those types of things, right? So you want to make sure you take note of everyone who drops an email, who drops a phone number, and then after this, guys, it's gonna be super simple. Just send them a text message. Hey, I don't know if we could ever even do any business, but yo, I saw you on Mike's thing, and like it looks like we're in a similar community. Just wanted to connect. What's your Instagram? I'm telling you guys, I've had stuff like this, and it seems like it would never work. I'm like I've been in Vegas and talked to people and been like, man, I'll probably never see you again. And then I end up connecting with people, or I've met people in Vegas who live in like Ireland, and I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna see you again. And then we connected again in like Miami. Like these are the types of things that happen. I've done business with people from like that. Basically, I never thought I would. Okay, so we're buying a little time for our latecomers here, but we got 4 more minutes. I'm gonna start at 7:10 with the presentation. So drop that in there, all right? So yo, this is dope. Saying like, hey, like I'm from Tucson, I'm from Arizona. Hey, I'm Raya. Dope, man. This is good, but also put your information out there. You gotta be willing to put yourself out there. Like, don't be worried. Oh, somebody's gonna, spam text me. First of all, I got a pretty cool group of people, right? I think you guys are pretty dope, right? The people that tend to resonate with me, with my content, stuff like that. So, again, I want to do things that are going to get you guys results. And it might not get you results today, might not get you results tomorrow. But number one, it could happen, a little bit further along your journey. But it's about changing who you are. One of my newer students said to me, she was like, Mike, I watched one of your modules, and I was in a coffee shop the other day, and I overheard somebody talking about like doing some lending. She was like, before I watched that, I would have never ever walked up to a stranger and like given your pitch, right? And she was like, I walked up to him, I introduced myself, we met each other, blah blah blah, got the exchange the information. Is that gonna become a deal? Maybe. Maybe not. I mean, the odds are statistically against you that it will, probably not. But that's not the point. The point is, this is changing who you are and how you behave and what your expectations are and the messaging you're sending out to the universe. And I go on and on a daily basis, right? And so if you get in the habit of actually doing these things, they will change who you are, and it'll become habitual. Like you'll just start doing this type of shit automatically. And when you start doing that, then maybe a week from now, 2 weeks from now, something like that, that's when you're gonna really start, hitting it. All right. So we got 2 more minutes. I'm gonna give you guys that time, and then we're gonna jump right into our presentation. And in the meantime, I'm trying to keep up with some of the chat log stuff. So we got Texas, Colorado. Yeah, awesome, man, Mario. This is dope. I'm happy to give you guys a shout out on my platforms too. But like I said, throw your emails out there. If you don't want to put your email, put your phone number, put your Google Voice number, put your I don't know, Instagram, Facebook, whatever there is, man. You want to drop your PlayStation Pro, PlayStation Plus tag, like I put that shit in there, man. Somebody will hit you up. All right, it'll work out for you guys. So and again, it's not just about right now, but it's about that identity level change. And building the habit of doing this more or less on a regular basis. So you guys got 1 more minute. Drop that up in there, and then we're going to get started. All right, and now I'm going to try and scroll and keep up with some of these chats, all right? If you're earlier on time, if you are on time, then you are late. That is correct. That is correct, sir. Something I really try to drive into Jade, into my child. Yeah. I got some stories about that, but I won't get into all that now. I just remember growing up late. We were late to like a lot of shit, and it really like impacted me. I didn't like it. All right, guys. So on that note, and by the way, even though I'm gonna try to like stay on tasks to make sure like we're efficient with our time. You guys are welcome to do this throughout the entire night and like really interact with and try to meet each other. Try to connect with people everywhere that you go, okay? So try and do this stuff on the regular. So keep doing this through the presentation, even though, you know, I'm going to be doing my thing. So on that note, welcome, guys. I'm super excited to be here. We're going to jump right into today's presentation. How to flip a house and make $10,000 or more in the next 4 to 6 weeks, even without cash, credit, or experience. And I got to click back into the PowerPoint. So today I want to show you guys a 5-step formula. It's working extremely well to flip houses for multiple 4- and 5-figure paydays every month, even if you don't have cash, credit, or experience. And I want to show you why now is literally the very best time to get started. Now I want you to start off a little exercise. I want you guys to really imagine this scenario. I want you to like literally close your eyes and think about it. Even if it sounds silly, just do it, okay? Get in the habit of just doing things that I tell you, okay? So imagine this, right? What if you were able to flip a house and collect a check for $10,000 in the next 4 to 6 weeks? Like imagine that money actually hitting your bank account. Wire transfer coming in, boom, you have it, it's there. And then what if you're able to replicate that process and quit your 9-to-5 job within the next 6 months? So 6 months from now, play it forward, you're walking out at 9-to-5, done, never going back. And then what if you're able to become your own boss, work from home, control your time, make 6 figures within the next 12 months? Okay? Really think about that. Does that sound like a stretch? Now, for a lot of you, I feel like the answer is probably yes. And I used to think so too, until that's exactly what happened to me. That's a part of my story. And I was able to teach others how to do the same thing. So I like to start off with a little bit of motivation. This is some screenshots. I'm just going to show you a few. It's from my student Logan. He sent me these screenshots of some wire transfers. He did $49,108.73 in only 3 weeks. Fast forward that, he did like $57,000 in 5 weeks. So think about it. What if you could deposit, you know, obviously these are not overnight results, but a $50,000 check or $50,000 within, you know, a month? This is actually happening, okay? This is another one of my students, and I love her story. I'll share a piece of this with you. She left this on my Facebook page, and she said, you know, I'd like to give a special thanks and appreciate to Mike Hill. I owe a lot to this cool dude in this program, and I wanted to show you guys my recent check from a few days ago. Guys, once upon a time, I was so broke, I went to bed with an empty tummy on multiple occasions and back-to-back days straight. Could have gone back to work, but I knew for me personally, I had to give myself the ultimate push. There's no luck involved here. I made deals happen free of charge and with no money, not even marketing funds, and Mike's techniques were what got me the first of many. So again, fellow Warriors, no fellow Titans, be obsessed. And she sent me a picture. That's her very first check. No money, no marketing dollars, $19,025.10. This could be you. It all starts with belief and faith. And I'm going to obviously give you the steps, but that's where it starts, right? And I know there's going to be a lot of skepticism coming to this business. We'll talk about it. But guys, this is happening every single day, so why not you? So look, this is my goal for this training. I really want to make one singular goal, and that is to show you how you can do a deal just like this and make $10,000 or more in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And then I want to show you how to repeat that consistently. So basically, the training today is for a couple of different types of folks, a couple archetypes. 9-to-5 slaves looking to escape the rat race. So, i.e., you want to replace your income, quit your job, make more money, be financially free, control your time, be your own boss. Newbies, if you have never done a deal yet, kind of specialize in working with people who are brand new and doing their first deals. Maybe you've been struggling to make this click. Or maybe you've done a deal or a few deals, but you just want to get more consistent results. Now, I want to start with a very big disclaimer, and that is this. Wholesaling is not inherently easy. Not at first, guys. I'm a pretty straight shooter. If you didn't know that already, I will not teach you bullshit. I will not sell you some type of pipe dream or whatever it is. I will teach you a system. It works, and it works every time. I can make it work for anybody, but it takes work. It takes effort. It takes discipline, and it's not inherently easy. Again, especially not at first, especially if you're starting with like little money, little time, stuff kind of like how I did. But at the same time, it's not necessarily hard. The analogy I make is it's like getting in shape. It's like the gym, right? So if you've never been to the gym before and you go in and try to do 10 push-ups, that shit's gonna feel really hard, right? But if you go every single day for 6 months consistently, that same workout that you used to think was hard, it's nothing. right? But so it's all kind of relative. It takes work, it takes effort, it takes consistency, and it takes discipline. It's not a magic pill. This is not some get rich quick shit. I hate that. You have to be willing to invest in yourself and in your business. There may be days you want to cry, days the shit's not working out, days you spend all your money, days you're working 80-hour weeks. In the beginning, it gets a lot better, but it can start that way, all right? And if you're not willing to do that, it's not for you, right? You got to take massive, decisive action. You cannot be a quitter. And again, if you don't agree, training's not for you. That's just like straight up stuff, okay? So let's talk about getting your next deal done ASAP. So I'm going to show you 3 primary things today. It's going to be a lot in between, but 3 primary secrets, all right? The first one, why right now is the best time to start wholesaling, how the COVID-19 pandemic created unique, time-sensitive opportunities to do massive deals without cash, credit, or experience. Secret number 2, I'm going to show you how to do deals with $0 and limited time. I'm going to show you the reasons why most new wholesalers fail, what you should be doing instead, and I'm going to show you 1 free lead source you can use every single month to generate, minimum, we're talking like 10K a month, right? And then secret number 3, how to never run out of deals in my 5-step system to find the best cash buyers and to sell to them in as little as 48 hours, even without ever meeting a seller, meeting a buyer, or even visiting the property. Anyone excited? Sounds good to anybody? Because, just reading this stuff, it gets me kind of hyped, all right? So, my intro, I think most of you guys know me, but I'm going to give you the fastest intro of all time, all right? Who the hell is Mike Hill? Why should you listen to me? So I'm a full-time wholesaler in South Florida. I flipped hundreds of houses. I did my first deal without spending a penny. Quit my 9-to-5 in less than 6 months of doing my first deal. I made my first 6 figures within the next 6 months thereafter. I work an average of 20 hours a week in my wholesaling business, and most of my work is remote. I'm also a speaker and mentor. And guys, I'm just incredibly, insanely passionate about teaching this. Honestly, I probably like teaching and talking about this stuff probably even more than real estate, man. Obviously, the money in real estate's a lot better, but I really just love this. I've authored some books. I got my YouTube channel. That's probably how most of you guys know me. And I just love this stuff, right? I love kind of changing that dynamic or changing the prescription we get from society that's like, go to college, go to school, get in debt, work for a boss for fucking ridiculous hours, minimal pay, like all that shit. Like the way I was brought up, that was like your only option. I'm trying to change the optics on that because it does not need to be that way. So that's me in a nutshell. And I want to start off by showing you guys how I did my very first deal without spending a penny. And this first deal was actually done while I was working my full-time job, which was a minimum of a 60-hour work week. Now, before I tell you that, I just want to say something really quickly. I don't really have like a rags to riches story. I know those like sound cool. I wasn't like homeless and like living under a bridge or something like that. I actually graduated from Duke University in 2007. It's a very good school, right? I think at the time I was there, we were ranked like number 3. So we're up there with like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, all that stuff. I had well over 6 figures in debt when I graduated, but I felt like, I got this Duke degree, man. Like, I got it made. Like, I'm good. And my first job out of college, I was making $45,000 a year. Like, average for, like, undergrad. But it really was just not enough to make ends meet. And then this was, like, my new motivation. This is me at my first sonogram. I found out in 2010 I was having my baby girl. I was having Jade. And so I found out I was going to be a dad. Like, huge rush of emotion. Very excited. But I also knew, like, I wanted to be the best dad I could be. And that means obviously providing a lot of love and all that good stuff, but it means being a good provider. And so, long story short, I moved to Florida. I had some family here. My grandma was here, and God bless her heart. My grandma's amazing. She let me move into her place because I came here without a job just to kind of settle in. And so, while I love her to death for that, at the same time, at 26 years old, kind of a blow to the ego in the sense that I got here with nothing, right? I had no money. I think there's like $600 in my bank account. I did not have an apartment, a house. Like I said, I was staying with grandma. I didn't have my own car. I didn't have a job, and I didn't have any job prospects, right? So I did what anyone would do. I got a job. Like, long story short, this is the hotel I worked. As a revenue manager, I was making like $50K a year. But here's the thing. At that point, I had moved out of my grandma's house. I had a more expensive apartment. It was close to Miami. I had a 2-hour commute. I had more expenses. I had to wear suits to work. So I had to do dry cleaning. I had lunch, travel. Hated that job. Hated working 60 hours a week. Didn't like the people I work with. Too much office politics. Missed out on time with family, friends. No free time to enjoy like my hobbies and just kind of enjoy my life, man. And the paycheck wasn't even cutting it, man. Like, I was still having my credit card decline in public. My utilities shut off. constantly having debt collectors, calling, overdraft fees piling up. Who can relate to this, man? Anybody here? I don't know if it's just me. But living paycheck to paycheck, borrowing money from my parents, and that was a dagger to the heart. I'm a Duke University graduate, borrowing money from my parents, having a boss, like calling another dude boss, like all that type of shit. And then the thing that really hit me was this concept I call non-negotiable, non-refundable minutes, right? And so I'm realizing, like, most days I'm leaving for work before Jade is awake, and I'm getting home after she's asleep, and I'm missing out on like my daughter's life, maybe except for like 2 days a week. And I'm like, then what the hell am I working for? And that's what I call like my ultimate fuck you moment. And I just feel like everyone has to have one of those, man. Sometimes the comfort zone is the scariest thing. And guys, I'm kind of vulgar in the sense that, or my profanity, whatever you want to call it, it's not just for the sake of it, but it's like there's a real point that I'm trying to make here. And sometimes it takes aggressive language to like really call you out on your shit, man. If your life is not dope, like you probably need to have that fuck you moment to be like, hey, man, this shit is not acceptable for me. I can't be a good dad and be in my daughter's life because like I'm working for some lack of a better word, for pennies. And so I was like, okay, I got to do something different. Like, I knew I wanted to be my own boss, but I also knew, like, I wanted to, I knew I wanted to make more money, but I needed to have my time. I needed that time with Jade, and that was what really made that decision happen for me. So, I started looking for stuff. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I go to Google, like, how do you be your own boss? This is the type of shit that comes up. You guys probably see this all the time. Oh, make money from, on Facebook with I don't know, man. Like, these are some of the screenshots I found. Guys, this is all shit. Like, this is bullshit. There's like no better way to do it. So I started looking up like, okay, how are people who have money, like millionaire people, making money? Find this statistic. All right, like 90% of the world's millionaires, they've done it through real estate investing. All right, cool. So I'm interested in real estate, but I start reading about it. I'm like, I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna do it when I have some money. I thought you needed money. And so problems with traditional real estate investing, it's like, you require your own money or credit. You take on significant risks. You have out-of-pocket expenses, liability, insurance, taxes, maintenance, theft, labor. You got some rental. Someone comes in, or you're rehabbing a house. They bust out the walls, steal the copper. You're responsible. Someone slips and falls in front of your property. They want to sue you. You're responsible. Stuff like that. If you're rehabbing, you got to manage a team of contractors, subcontractors, day laborers, handymen. Your money's on the line. A lot of times you have to be there physically to make sure people are doing what they need to be doing. You got to deal with banks, appraisals, FHA buyers, all that good stuff, right? It's a lot of stuff that goes into, especially if you're trying to get in there, like start from the bottom. And it's subject to things like third party, like if you're trying to sell properties, and market conditions, inspections, appraisals, all that stuff. It also suffers in like a recession. Then I find this thing called wholesaling. This is the better way. So, the hotel I was working at, funny story, it's like the grace of God. It's like a message. They had one of those bigger companies come in, and basically they were doing a seminar on this stuff, and I just heard about it, right? They talked about this thing called wholesaling. No money down, no credit needed, no risk. It can be done virtually. You're dealing with cash buyers only. It's profitable in an up or down market. Quick cash, no limit to number of deals you could do. I'm like, shit, okay, I'm interested. And I was admittedly very skeptical. And then at the end of the presentation, this lady's like, all right, we'll coach you on how to do it, but it's going to be $40K. And here's the problem. It's like, and here's where I might even think a little bit differently. For $40,000, I was like, look, I spent over $100,000 on my college degree, and I never use it. I've never actually seen my college degree. My parents have it somewhere. But the point is, I spent 6 figures on that education. I would gladly spend that. I just didn't have the money, right? So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try and like kind of figure this thing out on my own. So, sorry. Getting ahead of myself. So basically, I just went to Google and tried to like find everything out that I could. Found a local real estate investing club. I was like, all right, I'm going to go check this out. Now, this is where we get to this guy, Vitaly. So I go to this meeting, right? And it's incredibly uncomfortable. I'm one of the younger guys there. I don't know anybody. I'm walking in blind. I could barely afford to pay the $15 door fee, right? And, I walk in. Everybody looks different than me. Everyone's older than me, right? There's millionaires in the room, and I feel kind of awkward. So then the guy who's hosting, who would eventually become my mentor, he's like, yo, this kid, Vitaly, come up and talk to the room. So this kid comes up. He's 20 years old. He's an immigrant. He's from Russia. He's not college educated. He doesn't have a college education. He had been working at Wendy's. He was making like $6 and change per hour. And he borrowed money from his grandmother to train with a mentor, a guy who would eventually become my mentor. He did not have a car. He did not have a computer. He had to borrow a laptop. He didn't have Wi-Fi. He went to the library for Wi-Fi. he did not have paper. He said he would he would steal paper from the clubhouse to print out his contracts. This kid gets up there and he starts telling us about how he's on his 20 plus, he flipped over 20 houses, and he just bought his first car and he quit his job. And so I'm thinking, man, the biggest takeaway for me was like, this kid had the world stacked against him and every like disadvantage. And here I am with the fancy degree and, coming from the good family and like, born here, all that type of stuff. And I'm thinking, man, and I'm struggling. I'm like, yo, if he can do it, I can 100% do this. And I kind of like raised my confidence up a little bit, right? So initially, this thing was not pretty. I saved up $1,000, which was hard for me at that time. And I attended a 3-day boot camp. And that was literally all the money I had in the world. It took me a while to do that too. I didn't know how or where to find deals. I spent every last cent I had to my name on things like lists, signs, email, paper, making flyers, stuff like that. I rode a bicycle and put flyers in people's mailboxes, which I know now is illegal. Do not do that. But I was door knocking. I was doing all that stuff. I put flyers on bus stops. I taped them up there. Those were my first calls from code violation. Had to go back and take them down. Don't do that. But I was just trying to do too much. I was doing a lot of work, but I was getting no results, and I was not focusing on what was most important. I did not have a step-by-step plan or schedule. My actions and routines were very much random. Now, this took a very long time, but at least I was taking action. I want to encourage all you guys to take action because imperfect action is better than no action at all. You probably heard the saying, fail forward. You have to do that, okay? You have to take action. And this is a really goofy photo. I'm going to get off the screen in a minute, but I took this on purpose so I would never, ever forget this moment. This is the day I made my very first deals, my very first check. And there it is back in 2012. Sorry, $3,100. That was it, but it was mine. I made that from kind of nothing. And here's the reason why this is special. And your first deal will be special if you haven't done it yet, and this is why it's always special, right? My first deal was a very small amount, $3,100, $3,100. But you remove all of the lingering doubts and the mental blocks. Even if you believe you could do it, it's not until you actually had that money in the bank that you're like, wow, this shit actually works, all right? You realize this is possible. The first deal, they say it's the toughest, is absolutely true. You have the doubt. You have the limited knowledge and experience. You have limited resources. Like you probably don't have a lot of money, right? When you're first getting started, but you get to have that I told you so moment. Everyone told me, don't quit your job. You got to be a dad. You got to be responsible. What about this, that? You have no security. Then you get to say, I told you so. And that's when everyone says, after you do a couple of deals, oh, I believed in you the whole time. You gain a ton of confidence and momentum. And now, most importantly, you have money to reinvest into your business, and it gets a lot easier. And we're going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes, how to kind of reinvest and like make the cycle go a lot faster. And that's basically what I did. And so the next check comes, and like my next check was like, well, this check I got $5,600. Shout out Independence Thailand. They did my this one, my second deal, I think. And I actually got paid a little bit out of closing, so I made a little bit more than this on that. And then I was like, yo, it takes me like a month working 60 plus hours a week to make that much. And I made that money like basically with pretty little effort, like relatively. I was like, I'm all in. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And so I made the best investment in my life, and I got a mentor. So that's my mentor, Lex. You guys probably know him. Shout out to Lex Leverad. Basically responsible for, he taught me what to do, and I did it. All right, you just got to kind of execute. And, he had over 10 years of experience. I'm always, in some ways, I'm a hard worker, but in some ways, I'm like the lazy guy. I want to find the fastest way from step A to step Z, right? If I have someone who I could pay them to save me 10 years of mistakes, right? And tap into their network and tap into their knowledge base and, not do, spend 10 years making those mistakes. That's what I'm going to do. And so this is literally like the best investment I've ever made, way more so than my whole Duke career, degree and all that good stuff, right? So you guys know this gentleman here, Tony Robbins. He says, if you want to take the island, you got to burn the boat. That's what I did. I quit my job. I'm not recommending this for everybody, and it's probably not for everyone. I probably quit a little bit prematurely, but I put myself in a position where I was like, yo, there will be no plan B for me. I'm just going forward with this because if I don't make this work, Jade is not going to eat. I can't buy diapers. Like, that type of shit. And again, this is not for everyone, but that's just what motivates me. You kind of have to find your fire, and I'm a little bit of a risk taker naturally. But I quit my job. And funny story, the day I quit my job, I walked outside the hotel. I turned around. I took a picture so I would never forget the day. I went home. The very first thing I did, I opened up my computer. I opened up my resume and I deleted it. No backups, no nothing. I'm not telling you guys to do this. It's my story. And I made a promise to myself that I will never, ever submit another resume ever again. And I never did. All right. And then I started doing deals. All right. So, there's some wire transfers coming in. So how do we get there, right? Well, the thing I attribute to this the most is my why. I touched on this a moment ago, but as human beings, so often we will do more for others than we will do for ourselves. And it's kind of a crazy concept, but my why is my daughter. Like, I'm a single dad. Like, that is my world. That is my life. If it wasn't for her and it was just me trying to make money, to be honest, I probably wouldn't be successful in this. But that's my baby girl. That's just the reason I do everything I do. We do pretty much everything together. And she really just pushed me. And I would encourage you guys to really think about your why. And don't just think about it. Like, as you're taking your notes, write this shit down, man. It's so much power to putting stuff on paper. So make sure you write this down and really think about, what is my why? Why am I doing this? Is it for another person? Is it for my legacies? For the next generation? Whatever it is, right? And nowadays, I work from wherever I want. I work from home a lot. I can work from hotels. I do traveling. Sometimes simple. A lot of times I work from Starbucks, libraries, stuff like that. COVID's changed it up a little bit, but I go to Vegas when Jade. Every summer, Jade stays with her mom for a couple weeks. So I do this trip to like Vegas pretty much every year. Not this year because of COVID. I'm just showing you guys this like a mansion I rented. I think year before last, and that's right outside my room. And like, this trip was just amazing. And the reason I'm showing some of these things, trip I took recently, is because it's not about trips and like that type of shit. Like, I'm not doing the brag thing, whatever, but it's about like having full control over your time. When I had to take vacations, but when I was working a job, I didn't even have anywhere to go. But like, just the whole concept of having to walk into an office and being like, I've been working here for a year, may I please have 2 weeks off? And then they'd be like, well, can you split them up and do 1 week and come back and do another week? And like, oh, we can't do this. Like, that whole permission shit just does not sit well with me, okay? And so, people always says, oh, I got a case of the Mondays. Mondays, like a ski trip I took like a month or 2 months ago, something like that. And like, I just show this type of stuff because this is like Monday, man. Like, I live on my own terms. When I was in Vegas, like that pool that was in the backyard and stuff, God, I sat at that pool and I was there for 6 weeks. I closed 4 deals sitting by the pool. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, that's exactly what I do. So for me, like, the money is dope and it's amazing, but it's more about that freedom, like that time, my control of my time, doing whatever I want. So again, this is not about trips to Vegas. You might not be interested in that at all. That's not what I'm trying to sell you on. It's not what I'm telling you to live your life. But this is about building a lifestyle that allows you to do whatever the hell you want to do. This is your life. We got one of these as far as I know, right? Meet new people, form new relationships, have new experiences, travel, attend conferences, concerts, events, whatever you want to do with your life, you deserve to live it the way that you want to live it. And I truly believe that from the bottom of my heart. Be your own boss, spend more time at home. It's just about freedom. What does freedom mean to you? I can't answer that. I suggest you answer it for yourself. And if you guys want to share it in the chats, man, go ahead. Please feel free to do so, because I want this to be highly engaging. And so the next one I want to make is, this is basically like a Rubik's Cube, right? If you twist up a Rubik's Cube and give it to the average person, they probably can't solve it. And no matter how much time you work at it, you probably won't. But even if you can, it's going to take you a long time. Now, if you find someone who already knows how to solve it, like they know, I don't know how to solve it, but like if you find someone who does and can teach it to you, there's a system to it. I do know that much. They could probably teach it to you in like 10 minutes, man. So this is the point where the point I'm making here is, guys, I know how to do this, and I want to teach it to you right now. So don't try to think, oh, I'll figure it out on my own. And don't question some of the things I'm going to show you. Just execute. It'll work for you. All right? Now, I'm making some bold claims. I know that. And when I do things like that, talk about, living life on your own terms, the first thing I hear, it's got to be a scam. And I don't fault you guys, because I know there are a lot of scams out there. Like, people are shady, right? There's a lot of weird shit I see all the time. But let me tell you what I think is the real scam. Millions of people worldwide have fallen for the 40-40-40 scam. 40-40-40 scam is where you make someone else rich by working 40 hours a week for 40 years and then try to retire on 40% of what you can afford to live off of in the first place. If anyone agrees with me, can I get an amen in the chat? Maybe a 40-40-40 in the chat? Anyone resonating with this? This is the type of stuff that really changed my mentality, my mindset everywhere. Yeah, what you know about that? Distracting. Yeah, that 40-40-40 thing, man, that is truly like probably the biggest scam right now. So there's your amen. Thank you. Appreciate that, Sasha. How are you doing? It's been so long. So let's get into secret number one, guys. I want to show you why right now is the best time to start wholesaling, how the COVID-19 pandemic created unique, time-sensitive opportunities to do massive deals, again, without cash, credit, or experience. Now, again, this can be done without cash, credit, or experience, but just to clarify, if you have cash, credit, or experience, obviously it's going to be easier for you. It's going to go faster. It's going to be better. So I'm not saying don't use that stuff, but I'm saying you can start without that. This is how. So the wholesaling process, I'm going to give you a recap. I think most people here already know how this works. I'll give you a resource if you want to see it like expanded a little bit more with some more detail. But in a nutshell, this is how the business works, all right? Step one is you're going to find a distressed and or motivated seller, typically motivated by a circumstance like a divorce or something like that, or a foreclosure, and or a physically distressed property. That can happen from natural causes, hurricanes, property's just been sitting there. And like a Venn diagram is obviously some overlap there, right? Step two, you negotiate to purchase the property with the seller. It's got to be a win-win situation. They need to get out quickly, and you'll give them a fast closing in exchange for a lower purchase price. Step three is you sign a purchase contract with the seller. Step four, you advertise it to cash buyers. We're going to talk a lot about that in just a bit. Step five, you're basically that middleman or woman between the seller and buyer. And then you find your friendly local title company. That's Mr. Kevin Thatcher. I believe he's on the call right now. And that's my mom. If you ever see her, shout her out. They're going to take care of everything for you. You don't need to even know all this stuff. The first time I worked with Kevin, I didn't even know what the hell he did. My mentor was just like, send him all the contracts. He'll handle it. I was like, all right, cool, man. I send them the contracts. They handle it. We'll talk about that too when we get to Q&A. But my point is, you can still take action without knowing everything. That's the point I'm trying to make. Cash a check. Repeat the process. Simple as that. 7 steps. Sound difficult or unrealistic? I know some of you think that. But look, grocery stores, guys, and every retail store on earth, and every even internet store, right? They do this every day. This is all business is, man. You buy something at a lower price, resell it at a higher price. Pretty simple. You're basically the Amazon of real estate, right? You go to the wholesaler, distributor, you like bananas, right? You buy them at like, I don't know, 10 cents a pound. You mark it up a little bit for your profit. You sell it to, the end buyer or your grocery store for, I don't know how much bananas are, $1 a pound, whatever it is. And we're gonna get into this in just a minute. But when the pandemic kind of first started, there were a lot of articles going around, and you're seeing that the pandemic is playing to almost every one of Amazon's strength. And because you're using a similar business model, I'll show you why you can take advantage of this as well. Some stuff from Wall Street Journal. Real estate investors eye potential bonanza in distressed sales. And so here are some examples of motivated sellers. Right? We're going to come back to some of the corona stuff in a moment. But, homeowners facing foreclosure, tired landlords, couples getting a divorce, people with damaged homes, military personnel needing to relocate, heirs who have inherited a property, people who just need to sell very quickly. Now, again, I told you guys earlier, right? A big part of why you are not successful at this is mindset. And there are a lot of different ways that this can manifest and happen. One of them is people feel like it can be shady or unethical. And I want to take just 1 minute before we get into like the to-do steps to address this. Because I suffered from this, and I know for a fact that my mentor suffered from this. And I see people say it all over the internet all the time. They're like, oh, you're just like scamming people. You're trying to take advantage of them and take their houses at a discount. And basically they're saying you're trying to rip people off to make a profit. So let me just give you a scenario, okay? A homeowner has a house. It's worth $100,000, and they have a good job, right? Over the last 10 years, they paid about 50% of that off of the mortgage. COVID happens. They lose their job, and after months of trying to recover, the bank comes in. They said, okay, we're going to foreclose. Your company went out of business, never coming back. We're foreclosing. You have two options at this point, right? Option number one, you do nothing. And you know what happens to that seller? The bank forecloses on their home. The owner gets kicked out. The sheriff forbids them from even re-entering the premises. They can't get their stuff. They have no money. They have nothing to show for the house. Their foreclosure exposed, and they are the talk of the neighborhood gossip. Like, that stuff matters to people, man. They have a foreclosure on their credit, effectively preventing them from getting any type of loan for like another decade, man. And then you have option number two. You offer to buy the house. And you say, look, you're already in a bad situation, right? I can't erase the bad situation, but I can help you deal with it. And obviously, I'm an investor, so I'm going to make it work for me as well. But we can make a mutually beneficial win-win situation. So you offer to buy the house for $60,000. The bank gets the $50,000 that they're owed. They're good to go. They're out of the picture. The seller gets to walk away with $10,000. Maybe they'll find a place to rent until they're back on their feet. They have no negative remarks on their credit, no social stigma. They're eligible for a new loan in the future, maybe when they get a new job or something. And then you get to offer the deal to a cash buyer for $70,000. The buyer gets a great deal because remember the property's worth $100,000. You get to make your $10,000. This model is basically like a pawn shop, man. You're the pawn shop of real estate. And if you guys have seen pawn shops, man, they make money and they help people who need it, right? So that's why you don't need to feel like you are an unethical, opportunistic vulture. And the thing you have to realize is that, the people who want to sell typically make about like 95% of sellers. You just want to focus on the people that need to sell. It's a much smaller part of the population, maybe like 5%. But when you're talking about 5%, like millions of people, it's still more than enough. And I'll show you why. We're going to run some numbers as we go through here. Keep your questions in mind. We're going to get to those things. But if we looked at when COVID first started, for example, 30 million Americans filed initial unemployment when that happened. I think that number went up to like 50 million. Now, if we look at the great recession of like 2008, 2009, when wholesalers made a killing, by the way, it never went over 1 million unemployment claims. So I don't know if you guys realize how crazy that is, but those numbers are fucking insane, man. And the thing is, even though this is from last year, we have not started, because of like government intervention, all these different programs and the moratoriums, we've not really started to feel that wave, which is why now is the time. I mean, first of all, if you're starting a business, now is always the time to get started. You never want to wait and procrastinate. But I mean, specifically right now really is the time, because this stuff is coming, man. It is coming. And so just some other really quick screenshots I want to throw at you. This from the Wall Street Journal. It says, our thoughts and prayers are with all of our fellow Americans. Nobody wants to capitalize on anybody's misfortune. But I will tell you, real estate investors, when you take the emotion out of it, many of them have been waiting for this for a decade. Some more statistics. 32% of U.S. households missed their July housing payments. 1 in 5 renters not caught up on rent during pandemic, with renters of color facing the greatest hardship. More than 1 in 3 adults had trouble paying for usual household expenses in the last 7 days. Biden administration to extend eviction foreclosure moratorium through June 30th of 2021. Like I said, we're not even feeling all these effects yet. And maybe my personal favorite, this dude allegedly kidnapped his tenants and left them in a cemetery for not paying. Look, crazy things are happening, guys. Even though some of the media stuff will try to smooth it over, crazy stuff's happening, right? And so you can simultaneously help people and make a lot of money. I'm gonna not just tell it to you, I'm gonna prove it to you and show it to you. And so what I was showing you before, that 95 to 5%, is more like 85 to 15% now. That number has grown exponentially. There's so much opportunity that's already here, but so much more that is on the way. So you want to get in here now, okay? Make sense? You guys with me? You guys are following me? Let me know in these chats, man. Let me just check in here, see how you guys are doing. If you have questions about anything I covered so far, let me know. I'll take a minute to cover that. And then, like I said, at the end, we'll go back and look at any other questions. All right. So the thing you got to realize is that turbulent times like this create massive opportunities to build wealth while simultaneously helping those that need it the most. So an example is wholesalers, again, made an absolute killing in the recession of 2008, 2009. My mentor created a large bulk of his initial real estate wealth in a massive hurricane. Might have been Hurricane Andrew. I don't remember which one, but I think it's around 2000 or 2001, something like that. So anytime things like this happen, it could be government, it could be war, it could be natural disaster, it could be a pandemic. You don't know, but when it happens, you gotta be ready. Sorry if I clapped in your ears, but you gotta be ready to jump on it, man. You gotta be ready to jump on it. And so back to the Wall Street Journal, one more here. A growing number of property investors are preparing for what they believe could be a once-in-a-generation opportunity to buy distressed real estate assets at bargain prices. Not my words, Wall Street Journal words, okay? And one quote, Charlie Munger, if you guys don't know, that's Warren Buffett's business partner, says a lot of opportunities in life tend to last a short while due to some temporary inefficiency. For each of us, really good investment opportunities aren't going to come along too often and won't last too long. So you've got to be ready to act and have a prepared mind. And the window to capitalize on this once-in-a-generation opportunity is closing soon. You guys have to start now, like today. So what is the best way to get started, all right? So case study. This is how I did my very first deal. And it's going to be so simple. Some of you might want to overlook it, but don't. There's a lesson here. So look, I simply went to Google and searched for wholesalers in my market. I used sample keywords: wholesale real estate deals in Florida, wholesale deals in Broward, discount properties in Palm Beach. I went to Craigslist. I did the same thing. I searched for wholesale deals. I used sample keywords. A good one for you to write down. Use cash or hard money. Put it in quotations. Anything that pops up, it's going to be a wholesaler. All right? And then you can be creative. Go to Zillow, do the same thing. Go to Facebook, do the same thing. Then once you find these wholesalers, go to their websites, right? This copy of my website, you're going to see something that says join our buyers list or a place to put your email. Sign up for that on their website as if you are a cash buyer. You're going to start getting their emails showing their wholesale deals. I got on all wholesalers list in my market. And you should create an email address reserved only for these blasts so you can see it all in one place. And then you want to reach out to these people and say, hey, man, I saw your wholesale deal on Craigslist. I'm a wholesaler. I have some buyers interested in your area or interested in that deal. Would you be willing to J-Fee? Not everyone's going to say yes. That's okay. That's fine. That should not discourage you. And then next thing I did is I just went to Craigslist and see a lot of wholesalers. You know, at times we can just get complacent with our existing list, and they may not market as aggressively. All you have to do is be more active, be more aggressive, want it more, right? And you should. So I marketed the property so aggressively. Craigslist, Backpage, Bigger Pockets. I think Backpage is shut down now, but back in the day, as aggressively as possible, right? And just keep putting the property out there over and over and over and over. And so, remember, I was still working full-time at the time, but my phone starts blowing up. I took calls whenever I could. I would go to the bathroom like 5 times in like an hour. During my lunch break, I'd sit in my car, whatever it took. And I found a buyer and signed a joint venture agreement. Very important that you sign these things and you have everything in writing with the original wholesaler. That's how I was. I got my desk, you know, taking these calls. That's how I did the very first deal that I show you guys. Now, obviously, a little bit more to it. I go into this in one of my latest videos on my YouTube channel with more details, a little bit broken down, a little bit more step by step. So if you want to check that out, it's probably like the second to last video on my channel, youtube.com/Mike Hill, the Wholesaling Titan. And if you watch it, please likes, comments, subscribes. Very much appreciated. Helps the channel out a great deal, okay? Do not underestimate the power of joint venturing, okay? To this day, I still do a large number of my deals through my network, which is why we started this call the way we did. You got to think of yourself as a middleman or a connector. Other investors have inventory. You just got to find a buyer. If you have a deal or know someone who wants to sell, other investors have buyers. Other wholesalers and investors have resources. Just make sure you get everything in writing. It is always better, and I would write this down, to have 50% of something than 100% of nothing. And so that's the contract that I use. If you guys want a copy of this contract, I'd be happy to hook you up. All you got to do is follow me on Instagram. I'm going to start blowing that up, put some content there, and just DM me the word JV contract. It's my Instagram right there, Mike Hill TWT. Okay? So let me know if you guys have any questions on that. I'm going to give it a minute. I know there's a slight delay. Check if we have anything there. I'll look back in just a second. But on that note, we're going to keep this thing moving and get into secret number 2. I want to show you guys how to do deals with $0, literally. Again, if you have money, it's going to make it better and faster. Basically, there's an inverse relationship between time and money. You're going to spend one of the two. So when people tell you, like, oh, you could work, like, short hours, 20 hours a week in this business, and they also tell you you could do deals with no money, understand those things don't happen at the same time. When I started literally with 0. But I put hella work into this, man. I was working 6 days a week. I was working, Saturdays, and after work, I was putting in the time. And then as you get money to spend, deals just happen more regularly, faster, and then you can spend less time, okay? Let's get ahead of myself. I want to show you guys how to. Give me 1 second. I just want to check on the chat, make sure we're still good here, and that everything is flowing. Okay, cool. I thought I saw a pause for a moment there, so bear with me. All right, cool. It looks like we are good. So I want to show you guys how to do deals with $0 and even with limited time. Why most new wholesalers fail. Probably not for the reasons you think, but I think you'll resonate with this in a moment. And what you should be doing instead. And I'm going to show you one free lead source that you can use every single month to generate $10,000 or more per house. So if you're trying to wholesale now, you're not getting the results you want. It probably has nothing to do with the specific lead source. Those are probably the most questions I get, man. What is the source? What is the list? Or whatever. Probably doesn't have to do with your software or even your level of experience. Instead, here's what it is, man. There is a pretty standard replicatable formula for getting your wholesaling business to work. And this is reason number one why most wholesalers fail at this. So what happens is you get the idea, right? A lot of times you're watching videos, you're on trainings like this, you're on YouTube, right? And it could be a new software, a new list source, and you have the idea, but you're not completely clear on the implementation. And then when most people get started, especially if you're a beginner, you probably don't have a ton of money to throw into this, into your marketing. You probably got just maybe a couple $1,000s to spend or something like that. And whatever you do have, you tend to spend it on a shiny object. So you maybe spend on the wrong things or too many things or too many lists, or too much software, and you're trying to throw kind of everything to the wall. You spread yourself a little bit thin and see what sticks without a proper plan in place, without the right education, without knowing your metrics, without your KPIs, without your processes in place to know like what you should be spending and where you should be spending it. Again, you're spreading yourself a little bit too thin, and then what happens is, you spend that money that you have, and then it doesn't work, right? And then the money that you didn't have, you just kind of lose it all, and then with that, you lose the momentum. So the example is like, okay, you find out like this amazing new software, you're gonna use it, and you have like $1,000 left. You spend it all on the software, but like the implementation is not quite right, or maybe you kind of jumped the gun a little bit, and then even if you have some leads, like they go into that system, and then the next month comes around, and then you can't make that payment, and then they block you out of the system. Now you can't even access what you started working with, and then you have to start all the way back over because now your bank account's in the red, or you're back at zero, and instead of like capitalizing on the little bit of momentum that you did spend, like you're back at nothing. Ask me how I know that like so well. That's exactly what I did. And I think some of you can probably relate to that. If you can relate to that, drop that in the chat for me, man. I'm not saying something to brag about, but it happened. So just let me know in the chat if you can relate. Maybe you've been in a similar situation or something like that. All right. And basically, yeah, that's what I did when I first kind of started this thing. And so here's the thing, man. The information, the tactics, the practices, the techniques that you might see across the internet or on YouTube channels, they're not necessarily wrong. Like this stuff works, but you have to implement it in a very specific way, in a very specific and sequential order. There's a chronological order to this stuff. And to get to each next step, you have to meet kind of certain prerequisites, right? So again, it's not that these things are wrong in any way. You just kind of have to go in order. Otherwise, your business is going to fail. So the way I teach, I know from personal experience, because basically, remember, I started with nothing, and I also specialize in working with beginners. Most of my students are beginners, and they have a lot of these same struggles that I had when I was coming up. So I would say like these are just some examples, but if you have nothing per month, imagine each one of these is like a door, right? You can only go through the door if you can meet the prerequisites. So if $0 a month, you can only do things like joint venture deals and networking and stuff like that, and a couple others I'm going to show you in just a bit. And then once you get $100 a month, you could get like PropStream, for example. $200 a month, I have a certain CRM I recommend. But you shouldn't be doing like direct mail and shit like that if you're only at $200 a month. Stop doing that, man. But you're just gonna waste it. I mean, granted, actually, you could get lucky, but I'm saying if you want to like streamline it and more or less guarantee your success, don't do that, right? And then when you get to 500, when you get to 1,000, there's different things you do. And I'm kind of a video game nerd, so I don't know if some of you guys are going to miss this analogy, man. But if you've ever played like Grand Theft Auto, you get off the boat and you have nothing, right? You can't get the nice car and you can't get the weapons. But after you buy, or for less R-rated example, Legend of Zelda, you start off with like the wooden sword, the wooden shield, then you get the steel joint, and then you get the diamond sword, but you gotta work your way up. You can't go face the final boss in those video games without leveling your character up. So that's kind of what I'm trying to say here. And so what I recommend for you guys, if you are in this situation, haven't done a deal yet, because remember, you're also still learning as you go. Those first deals or first phone calls or first marketing you've done that didn't work, that's not a failure, man. It's like, it's still part of your experience, part of your learning. It's like, if you go to med school, you don't, even after 8 years, you don't graduate and be like a top surgeon. You graduate and then you do your residency, right? And so some people are trying to like, they buy a course or something and they're like, okay, I should be a top wholesaler. No. So as you're making calls or doing some of these initial things, you're still working your way through this. It's not effort wasted is what I'm saying. And so for the majority of you, you want to do deals that require very little to no money first. Now I want you to spend a lot of money soon enough. It's going to make your business better, but you want to start off very lean. Right? And so again, you can absolutely do wholesale deals with no money. There's no question about it. I've done it. I've had tons of students do it. So that argument cannot be had. But you don't want to run your business with no money. So you can do a deal, your first couple of deals with no money, but you don't want to run your business with no money. You want to spend a lot of money in your business. But if you have a limited budget, what you want to do your first few deals with no money, stack a bunch of cash, and then reinvest the profits back into your business so you can do future deals much faster. Is that making sense, guys? Let me know in the chat down there. And then at that point, you can do more marketing, more lists. You can hire employees or hire VAs. You can outsource. You can do skip tracing. You can invest in software, do your direct mail. Did I mention that? You can access different types of deals, just like the video game example. You know, there were levels you couldn't get to until you level up your character, right? So they're basically like there are a couple more, but like 5 primary ways to do deals with little or no money. Joint venture deals, that's basically how I did my first deal. We talked about that already. Driving for dollars, very inexpensive. Like, you're paying for gas, or you can even ride a bicycle. I did that too. And then if you have a little bit more money, you can get something like the Deal Machine app. You have networking and word of mouth. You literally never know. You don't know what you don't know, man, or you don't know who knows who. And I have some really crazy statistics about that. Cold calling, relatively inexpensive. But I want to really focus on one right now, which is what I prescribe for a large majority of my students. And that is, let me get a drum roll, please. Actually, let me hydrate, because I've been talking, man. All right. One of my favorites. It is distressed inventory on the MLS. Where are my naysayers at? Because I'm probably going to hear some shit and we're going to fight. No, but seriously, there are plenty of deals on the MLS. The MLS is simply a marketplace. If you guys don't know, this is where realtors put deals for sale. And it costs you nothing to make an offer. Now, listen, I'm not hating on other people, other coaches, anything like that. I don't got time for that. But I'm going to tell you this. I'm on popular forums. We're talking like Bigger Pockets, stuff like that. I see other coaches and people, because I'm still a student of the game. I'm always trying to learn from everybody, right? And they say you cannot do deals from things that are on market, listed properties, things like that. And my thing is, look, if you tell me I prefer not to do that, everyone's entitled to their preference. That's fine. But if you tell me you cannot do that, buyers do not want that, I can give you a stack of HUD statements. I did it. I did it last month. I did it the month before that. And I did it the month before that. Oh, and not just me. I'm not an anomaly. My student did it. This student did it. This student did it. So how are you going to tell me it doesn't work or buyers don't want that? And here's why. I'm going to prove it to you guys. But first, I want to make 100% clear. I want to end this, this fucking discussion forever, man. You can absolutely wholesale deals that are listed with a realtor. And what do you think about this, right? Let's say you are living right now in New York. God forbid your parents pass away or someone passes away. They own a house here in Florida. They put you in the will. They leave you the house. Well, now all of a sudden that's cool, but you don't want a house. You would much rather have some cash because now you got to maintain it, or maybe you have to watch the tenants, or maybe you got to pay the taxes, or maybe now code violations are coming in. They're hitting you up saying, man, you got to pay all this money because I don't know, man, the grass is growing high, whatever it is. What would you do? You would just say, hey, man, like, isn't Aunt Sally like a realtor down there? Hey, Aunt Sally, could you list this property? Can you sell this for me? And so most people know either a family member or a friend member. Realtor is a very popular profession. You probably know someone, if you think right now, who's a realtor. You're probably, the average person is going to call that person and say, hey, man, can you sell this for me? Can you list it for me? Like similarly, and then at the same time, a lot of listing agents, what they do is they market to those people on your behalf. So what they're going to do is they're going to call people, let's say, again, who inherited a property, and say, hey, you want me to list this for you? Right? Imagine, it's the same thing if you have a vacant property, your tenants move out, you're like, hey, I'm done with this. Who are you going to sell it to? You're going to probably call a real estate professional, realtor, and say, hey, man, can you sell this for me? If you're getting a divorce, the average person, yeah, they're motivated, but they don't know that we exist. Most people don't know how to get in touch with a cash buyer. They don't know wholesalers exist. They're going to call a realtor and say, hey, man, can you list this property for me? Get rid of it. Property's fire damage. We go on and on down the list. But that's how the average person has been trained to sell. And these realtors are trained to reach out to these people, almost do like the marketing for you. And that's how they're getting these deals. And there's still motivation there, but they're just putting them onto the MLS. And so if we look at distressed inventory on the MLS, I call this low-hanging fruit. And I highly recommend you guys look into this option because, again, it doesn't cost you anything to make offers. Now, it might cost you a little bit more time, like I mentioned before. There's that inverse relationship between time and money. So it might take you a little bit more time. But again, if you have some more money, you can use certain software, and I can show you guys how to do that to make these offers. So what you want to do is you want to go to any MLS portal. That means IDX, Zillow, Realtor.com, Movoto, Trulia, all these different things. And you want to search for single-family houses, ideally, with characteristics that are indicative of distress. So just some examples here. TLC, that's what realtors will put in the description. Tender loving care, that means the property's fucked, right? It's kind of fucked up. Fire, like fire damage, roof damage, Chinese drywall, needs, mold, motivated, vacant, cash buyers, any of that stuff, guys, they exist on there, right? Hold on, I'm checking the chat. If the numbers work, why can't you pull leads from almost anywhere? Flesh that out for me a little bit. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but that's my point. If the numbers work, you can pull leads from it. That's exactly the point I'm making, man. Okay, so here's one way I'll address that, right? So I see people on. I think we're just agreeing with each other, actually. But if there's more to the question, let me know. But I've seen on Bigger Pockets, and I've seen other wholesale coaches, and they say, listen, buyers do not want properties listed on the MLS. Well, granted, they probably don't want them if they're retail price or something like that. But trust me, there's damaged properties, there's fire damaged properties, there, properties with structural problems, there are vacant properties, there are properties with tenants that run off, whatever it is, they're all there, right? And so if I came to you, Jeff, and I say, hey, Jeff, man, I got this property, and it's worth $100,000, and it needs a little bit of work, but I'll sell it to you for $50,000, and after you rehab it, probably take you 1 week, it just needs like cosmetic work, you can probably make about $50,000 profit from it. And then let's assume for a moment you do the math and you agree with me, right? And you say, yeah, you know what? I could make $50,000 off it. So, and then you're going to sign a contract. Would you be like, oh, wait, Mike, I know I can make $50K, but let me ask you, did you get this from the MLS? Because if you did, man, I don't want it. It's like people don't think like that. You know who thinks like that? Fucking tire kickers, people who bullshit, other wholesalers who don't know like what the fuck they're talking about, man. Those are the people who think like that. Again, I'm not trying to hate on people. I was aggressive. But no, literally, man. Like my legit cash buyers, you know what they care about? They care about, can I make money on this or not? Period. They don't give a shit where you get the property from. So I'm really just trying to drive this into you guys. That's why I'm like getting very passionate, because I have this conversation every single week. Literally, sometimes multiple times a week. And I just want you to know the MLS, it doesn't mean anything, man. Like, you can sell those properties and you have a lot. It's easier to find them if you're working with a limited budget. And there are resources to make it easier, like things that kind of like scrub the MLS, or like I said, you can do these keyword searches, stuff like that. There are programs, we can talk about it in the Q&A, software that I use that allows me, I can make 20 offers in like 20 minutes, literally. Contract signed, proof funds, like all that stuff done. But my point is the deals are there. I'm getting a little bit off topic here. Things like cash, whatever it is, right? And here's the thing, as a result of the pandemic, there will be a wave of pre-foreclosures, vacant properties, frustrated landlords, absentee owners, all that stuff. Just a couple of examples. Distressed inventory on all these deals. I'm just gonna show you a couple. They were sitting on the MLS, meaning these were sitting on Zillow. If you would have searched Zillow and seen these properties and called 5 minutes before I did and made an offer, you would have had this money in your pocket. That's the point I'm making here, right? This house, they were asking $220. I made an offer $173.5, negotiated to $195, got the contract signed, got it reduced to $191.5, sold it at $197.5. The profit was $6,000 on that one, okay? No money down. Next one, this is in Delray Beach, not far from where I live. Asking $181, accepted at $170. Reduced to $155, sold at $163, $8,000 profit sitting on the MLS. Any one of you watching this could have done this exact same deal. This one, Boca, Coventry Street, asking $170, accepted the offer at $160, got it reduced to $150, sold at $169. The profit on this one was $19,000. This was a double closing, so no money came out of my pocket, but there were closing costs involved, so it comes out of the profit, and so the net profit was $17,605.54. Again, just sitting on Zillow. Now, because we have limited time and I want to get to questions, I'm not going to go through all the details of like how you make the offer and stuff like that, but there is a video on my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. It's called How I Made 10K in 23 Hours by Wholesaling a House with No Money. This is the video where I basically show you like how I found the deal, like the search parameters I use, how I contacted the agents. I have like screenshots of all the emails that we exchanged back and forth, how I wanted to make sure that I controlled it first by getting the contract, then how I went about asking for a price reduction to basically increase my spread. I was at a point where I was going to make $10,000, and then that's how I made the additional 10 in 23 hours. And go watch that, right? It's like 42 minutes, so it's a lot more detailed. But go check that out because we're on limited time here. And it shows you how to find those deals, okay? Next, proof of funds. Table that question. We're going to get to that a little bit later, but it's going to take me off topic. So stick with me and I'll get to that. This is what I want to show you. This is a joint venture deal that I did with one of my students, right? So he found this property sitting on the MLS. Again, any single one of you could have found this sitting on Zillow, right? Signed a purchase agreement for $245,000. Gave it to me. I sent it to my buyers list at $254,000. So basically $10,000 spread. Now what happened is another wholesaler found it, marked it up a little bit. I think he marked it up by like $10,000, $15,000, something like that. And found another buyer, brought the buyer in, right? So the total. And then we just signed a joint venture agreement. And now the thing I want to stress is I made very little off of this property. I made $3,300. That's not very little. Like, yeah, if I said to anyone of you, hey, you want $3,000 right now, you probably say yes, right? It's not a big wholesale deal, but that's no little chunk of change. Like, that's cool, right? But the thing why I want to stress this and what makes it cool is, number one, the deal was sitting on Zillow. Number two, the profit was $15,000. Number three, nobody put any money into this deal at all. Not my student, not myself, no one. And number four is there was enough spread in this where we did a four-way split. So 4 people got paid. I actually got paid on the lower end. Somebody, the people that marked it up, they made $5,000. But the point here is this. Could I have done this when I first got started? Well, I could have absolutely done a deal. But in this fashion, all I did was forward one email. It basically took me 3 seconds to forward an email and I got paid $3,300. Now that's not going to happen initially, but my point here is that if you stick with what I'm showing you and like take the baby steps and do the techniques and the tasks just like how we started this call, you will not see necessarily immediate results, but over time there's a compounding effect where you will build a network, where you will connect with people to the point where even if you only have 10 buyers on your list, you mark something up, or maybe you just send it off, and bam, you can make money just like that. And that's why I'm encouraging you guys to even use me, baby. Use me as a catalyst, right? To connect you to other people. Use my network. I don't mind that. Some people do. I don't. Because I'm going to do the same to you, right? But use each other. Let's all connect. Like, there's more than enough to go around. We could all get paid. So, do that, right? Do it aggressively. My point here is, like, again, sorry, not $15,000, $14,998. I exaggerated by $2. Again, it was all Zillow. Any one of you could have done it. If you find your own buyer, you would have made $15,000. But for me, all I did was forward this email, and somebody hit me up probably like, I think it was like 20 minutes or something like that, right? And we made $3,300 and $15,000 total. So the point is, there's enough spread without putting a lot into this. Okay. So look, even if you have no time to do this, and you have a 99% fail rate. I had someone who called me the other day, and we're talking. I was throwing some numbers. I said, "Well, you got to do like 100 offers, 100 calls." He said, "Man, that many just for one deal?" I said, "Man, let me break this down for you. I think you're misunderstanding. If you're making 100 calls, most people are like probably not going to entertain your offer per se, right? So they're gonna say no thanks. That call's done in a minute. Some people, you might be on the phone 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay, wait, let me send you a contract, whatever it is. Let's just estimate those calls take 3 minutes apiece, okay? You do 20 calls per day. That's not that many calls, man. And that's working only a 5-day week, where if you're starting, you should be doing that 6-day week. That's 60 minutes. That is 1 hour. You tell them you cannot commit 1 hour per day to doing this. And after hours, even if you work 9 to 5, you call people at 5 or 6, man, they'll still pick up the phone. So 60 times 5, again, that's only working a 5-day week. That's only 5 hours. That's not a lot of time, man. Of 100 calls, 10 of them get accepted, okay? And just one of them closes. So 9 either told you to fuck off, or you offered too high and you even had to cancel. And just one of them closes. That is a 99% fail rate. In any other business, you would be done. You'd be out of business. One deal goes to 1%, you have $10,000 in your pocket. That's just like an average. Like, you can have, depending on the deal, a lot more than that. But again, you now have $10,000 in your pocket. It's kind of dope, right? Now, if all you did was just that, nothing else, and you should be doing other stuff, but I'm just saying, if that's all you focused on strictly, religiously, one time per month for just 10 of the next 12 months, you don't even have to hit it every single month, just 10 out of 12, you're already a 6-figure income earner. Like, most students that come to work with me, they're not even there yet. So obviously, I don't want you to do the bare minimum. I want you to do a lot more. But if you're only doing that, you're probably going to be in a better place than you are right now. Otherwise, you might not be on this call. So yeah, like, it really is that simple. And I'm sorry, I'm keeping track of this, but I'm going to get, these are really good questions. I'd say we're about 20 minutes away from Q&A, and I'm going to get to all of those. But this is why this really is truly like the closest thing to free money you're ever going to see, right? Imagine if you did this, like, I talked about doing it once a month. What if you did it a few times a month, 2 times, 3 times? Maybe you get to 10 times. Maybe you have a really good month, something like that. And you got to ask yourself this. Would it be easier to start this business with all the money in your savings account right now, however much you got? Let's say you take it all and throw it into a business the way people do when they start up, like, I don't know, a restaurant. And even with a restaurant, well, now you got to lease a space. You maybe sign a lease for 5 years. You got to buy the tables, the chairs, the tablecloths, the refrigeration units, the stove. You got to pay the staff, the uniforms, the menu. Blah, blah. It's a lot of overhead, man. The utilities, all that shit. But let's say, let's back up, right? And say, okay, you take all your savings and risk it all, and maybe your savings are only like $3,000, right? Or what if you start off with some damn sweat equity, some work, some grit, some courage, man? Every day, I'm going to hit it hard as hell, hard as fuck every single day. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to suck. I'm going to be tired. I'm probably going to not like the people I talk to. I might even get cursed out 1 or 2 times. But I'm going to do that first. I'm going to commit to doing that. I won't spend any money, but like, I'm going to work hard as hell. And and just do, my first deal and my first two deals, and now I got $20,000. You got 20 stacks to sit on, and rather than trying to work with the last of your bread, the last of your money, and take on significant risk, which is gonna mess with your head as well. Well, now I got $20,000 I wasn't counting on, and I'm gonna spend that to invest in my business. Which one's gonna be easier? And that's why I told you guys there's an order to this, man. You want to start doing the no money down, or the little money down, cheap leads first, and then start doing some of the paid marketing, right? Once you have the capital, you can start implementing the next phase of your business systematically. Remember, I told you, if you get it out of order, you're basically just going to bankrupt yourself, right? So you want to get it in the right order. And then once you have that first deal or first few deals, depending on what the profit is, the business becomes much easier, efficient, and most importantly, predictable. And so, again, people say the first deal is usually the hardest. And I find that to be true. It was true for me. It's true for most of my students. But I always tell them, listen, man, like, be kind of grateful because for that initial barrier to entry, because it does make it a little bit harder, right? That's true. But you learn along the way, and if it was that easy where everyone could just start off and do it, the business would fail to be profitable. And yeah, so that's ultimately a good thing at the end of the day. But there really isn't another reliable business model where you can start with literally nothing and turn it into 5 figures with pure will, knowledge, and determination, period. This is basically a disruptor business. Now, if you're not familiar with that term, we see it all the time. If we look at these businesses like I have up here, Alibaba and Amazon, these are the world's biggest retailers. For the most part, they don't own and make most of the inventory that they sell. Lyft, Uber, the world's largest taxi company, they don't own cars, man. Airbnb, the world's largest hospitality lodging industry, they don't own properties and hotels. And then the cool thing is the ROI, meaning your profit, is significantly higher from wholesaling. So rather than making $10 or $25 per transaction, I mean like per ride on something like Uber, you can make $10,000 or $25,000 per completed transaction wholesaling. And you don't need to have the car. You want to do Uber, you need a car. You want to do Airbnb, you need a property. We don't have to do that just by positioning ourselves properly. So you guys are vibing with that? That seems pretty cool. Now, really quickly, I want to go through the reasons why wholesalers fail. I'm just going to rapid fire these things off, man, and then we will revisit this during the Q&A, because in terms of like the step to making sure you get your deals, I want to make sure that I cover that, and then we can go back and revisit this stuff, and I can flesh it out to the degree that you guys want to do it, because the presentation is going to, we're going to, transition to whatever you guys want in like probably the next 5-10 minutes, something like that. You guys with me? You guys feeling me? We're still good here? Drop me something. If you guys are still with me, drop, number 1, just so I know you're here. So I know the stream's still up and that we are still good. Because like I said, I got a couple of different platforms streaming here, man. And it looks like if I'm not clicked in, it looks like it might be. I hope it's not freezing. Anyway. Yeah, please let me know. All right, so let's just rapid fire through these and then we'll come back and revisit this stuff, okay? And really quickly, let's see how we're doing on time. And like about an hour and 20 minutes. All right, so why most wholesalers don't fail? Number 1, they don't have a clear plan. They are working strategies out of order. We talked about that, kind of jumping the gun, knowing that there's a very predictable amount of money depending on your strategy that you need to spend. And yeah, you could get lucky, but it's if you don't have that amount of money, you're just going to spend it all and reset yourself back to zero. You're trying to do it all. Oh man, you really want to start by focusing on 1 or 2 strategies. So this is why so many people fail in the gym, for example, right? So let's say you have someone who's very obese and they want to they have the desire to lose weight, but and they know how to do it. They research it, they watch YouTube videos on it, they pick something, right? And yet a third of the country is obese, right? But why is that? It's because you go to Barnes and Nobles, you go to diet section, there's hundreds of books on how to lose weight. So what they do is they do keto for 1 week and then they step on the scale and they say, oh man, this shit doesn't work. All right, I'm going to do, paleo diet. And then they do it for 1 week. Oh man, this shit doesn't work. I saw a video saying Atkins is better or vegan is better or whatever the different diets are. And they just jump from thing to thing to thing without giving it any time to really have any momentum, right? So you want to get away from trying to figure out what is the best thing. I remember when in college, I started lifting weights for the first time, and I would spend hours and hours on this website called bodybuilding.com trying to find the best workout. And like, okay, you got to do HIIT cardio. And the next time it was like, don't do any cardio, you'll lose your gains. Then it was like, do like high reps and less sets. And then something else was like, hey man, do 5x5. And something else was like, yo, do hella reps and less sets. It was just like, man, it wouldn't even matter. I was just changing, trying to get the best thing like every like couple of days. And it's like I didn't need to pick the best thing. I just needed to pick one thing and be consistent with it. If I would have stayed consistent for, let's say, 8 weeks, then I would be enough time where I could say, okay, well, let me see to assess the type of progress I was making. So again, some of you guys, like when I started, there was a lack of information. It wasn't all the social media and all the YouTube channels and all that stuff, right? So one of my problems, I was like starved for information. But for a lot of you guys, you are actually overwhelmed with information. You watching like too many videos. You are kind of doing a little bit too much. And so you really need to boil it back and like dial it back and focus on just one or two strategies. Sigma, what up? I have not checked my messages, but if you send me one, I will check it after this presentation. But pleasure, nice to have you here. So yeah, you want to focus on one or two strategies. Fear is huge. Fear can manifest in a lot of different ways. I know people say FEAR, false evidence appearing real. No, fear is a very, very real thing. It includes things like paralysis analysis, procrastination, and I got my little acronym there. Is you guys might, I don't have my bracelet on now, but it says don't be a little bitch. And I'm not like trying to talk shit about everyone, and I'm not being derogatory in any way. These are reminders I have to say to myself, and I say to myself often in the sense that, guys, in some ways, I'm trying to trigger you, man, because sometimes it takes you getting triggered to maybe even getting upset, maybe having someone talk shit to you to really make a change. If you just coddle yourself all the time, oh, well, at least I thought positive and tried hard, like you're not going to make progress, man. Like sometimes you need to get angry. You need to get disappointed. You need to get pissed off to like really, really make this shit work. And if that means someone's calling you a little bitch or you have to call yourself a little bitch, you have to find out what your triggers are and then hit them. You feel me? Like that's what you have to do. And in actually one of my training programs, I have like hours of content. Like I think one of the modules like an hour and a half just talking about fear and mindset. And the way I like to talk, maybe I don't know if you guys can tell this, but like I don't just talk from a place of like theory. Like I always do try to mention theory and talk about theory behind things, but I always want to give you like actionable, tangible exercises, like things to do physically, exercises to go through that will make a change. So I'm a big fan of NLP, for example, neuro-linguistic programming, and I go through all of that stuff to make you make a change. So fear is another big one. Quitting too soon. Some of you guys just quit way too soon. Also on a note of fear, like when I talk about things like reaching out to realtors and like making phone calls, you would be astonished at the number of people, be it students or the people that reach out to me, and I don't even hit them with like, hey, you guys need to make like 100 calls, 1,000 calls. I'm like, they're like, can you help me, Mike? I'm like, if you make one call, I'll give you the next step. I'll help you out. They can't do it. They cannot do it. And not that they cannot do it, but they haven't. They will usually make an excuse as to why they will not do. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, something came up. Blah 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 blah. It's fear. It's fear. You're just being like, you're being fearful. You're being a little bitch. But realtors aren't as nice is a great question. I will address that as well. I have very, very strong opinions on this stuff. And I hope you'll be on for a little bit because we're going to get to Q&A, like I said, about 10 minutes. The rest is going to go a little bit faster. Quitting too soon. Not enough volume. Like some of the strategies I've talked about today, especially in terms of the little to no money, you gotta hit volume, man. Like some people, I tell them like, okay, well look, you don't have enough money to do this type of marketing, to do direct mail. You gotta make phone calls. And then I'll talk to them a week later and say, Mike, cold calling doesn't work. I say, how many phone calls do you make? I made 10. Well, yeah, that's why it doesn't work, man. You didn't make enough calls. Also, there's no consistency. So sometimes people could even make a ton of calls, ton of offers, but it's not consistent. I'd rather, like, back to my analogy. I love my analogies, guys, but it's like this. If someone says, hey man, I'm gonna go to the gym, I want to do a bunch of push-ups and make a big strong chest, right? I say, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna do 1,000 push-ups today. First of all, they're probably just not gonna do that shit. They're gonna get all sore, they're gonna get all burnt out, and it's not gonna, that one time massive effort, even if they did that, once every couple weeks, like randomly, it's not gonna work. Whereas you have someone else who says, listen man, I'm pretty weak, but I have 10 minutes every morning. I can only do 5 push-ups right now, but I'm gonna do 5 push-ups today, 5 push-ups tomorrow. I commit that spending my first 10 minutes of every single day doing those push-ups. Then by week 2, okay, now I can do 10. Week 3, I can do 15. Week 4, I tried to do 20. I couldn't quite get it. I did 17. Week 5, to do 20. Well, now they're making progress. They're getting stronger. They're enjoying the process more by making it habitual, making it a habit, by having the consistency. That becomes more important than just the gross volume. You got to have volume, but you have to have it with consistency. Next is speed, man. You guys sometimes just delay things. I have students, I'm like, yo, make the offers. They're like, I'm going to, I'll tell them on Friday, well, my aunt's coming to town, I'm going to make it on Monday. So listen, man, I can't tell you what to do your life, but just know that I try to invoke real FOMO in my students. That's fear of missing out, in the sense that's like, all right, cool, man, don't send on Friday, but just know you may have talked to someone on Friday who could have netted you $20,000. But because you waited till Monday, you missed the opportunity. Maybe something happened. Maybe someone else called them. Maybe they signed a contract, and you missed that opportunity. And because you waited until Monday, like that similar opportunity may not come back to you for another 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 16 weeks. Who knows, right? That same type of opportunity. You gotta have speed. Statistically, the first person to respond has a 248% more likely chance to get a contract. And then finally is no follow-up system. Guys, 48%, half of wholesalers never even follow up a second time. They say, hey, I tried the direct mail. Hey, I tried the phone calls. They don't work. And the fact of the matter is 80% of your deals will happen between the 5th and 12th point of contact. Even if we go back to like statistics of marketing from other industries way back in the day, say it takes at least 7 touch points for someone to even recognize you. So you gotta have a proper follow-up system and know what are the appropriate intervals, be it weeks, this, that, and have a schedule built out, or for follow-up. Even if you're doing direct mail, you cannot mail to a list one time and say, oh, I didn't get responses, it must be the list, and then go try to find a new list. It's not the list, man. You gotta mail to the exact same list a minimum, guys, of 6 times. All right? So those are the primary reasons, and if you want to deep dive into each one of these, I'm going to do that based on your feedback, and we'll do it when we get to Q&A, okay? So hopefully that helps you guys. Let me know. Let me get some, if you're still with me, put a 1 in the chat. If you have questions, drop them. I'll come back to them. I don't know how emojis really work based on these platforms, but if you got some value, just hashtag me value or a thumbs up or something like that. And then let's go ahead and dive into secret number 3, which is how to never run out of deals, and my 5-step system to find the best cash buyers, sell to them in as little as 48 hours, even without ever meeting a seller, meeting a buyer, or visiting a property. Let me know if that sounds good. That's one of my favorite parts of the business. And I'll say this before I get into that, while you guys are like catching up on the checks. I know there's a delay. I don't visit most of the properties I go to, and people say, well, man, aren't you leaving money on the table? And a lot of the best deals are done, or sometimes what it takes to close the deals, that like belly to belly contact. And that is 100% true, or at least a large percentage true. A lot of, especially if it might take a certain level of rapport, or let me back up. I'm not saying it's 100% true you have to do that to get a deal. I'm saying it's 100% true that there may be situations where I'm leaving money on the table by not showing up. Now, I do show up to certain things, like especially if it's convenient for me. But this for me is just a personal choice, because that's how I want to live my... I can't tell you how to value your life, value your time. But my point is this. If I'm, do 50 deals and maybe 2 of them I could have closed by showing up personally, I mean, I just like living my life, man. I'm okay with kind of letting 2 go if it means I get to spend more time with Jade. If we get to have a day and have a dad-daughter day, or, spend some time together where I get to do something. It's just like only you can decide how you want to kind of live your life, and you have to decide that for yourself. But I really enjoyed that aspect of the business, being able to, be virtual and be remote, or be in Vegas and close properties at a pool in Florida. Spend more time with Jade, or what have you. So there are times, my point is, where it is appropriate, where you may want to, and it may be justified to go, and you'll probably increase your conversion rate if you do a lot of face-to-face stuff. But also, especially with COVID and all that. But in some places, like, it's okay saying, like, I'd rather run my business virtually. And so before I get into the next slide, one way I'll put it to you is like this. Listen, some people will say, look, okay, you could make, let's say, $500,000 a year, but you have to work 80 hours a week. Or you can make $450,000 a year, but you only have to work 20 hours a week. There's no right answer, man. Some of you guys would rather work 450 and 20 hours a week. I'm that guy personally, right? I value certain things more than just in just dollars. And I'm very, like, dollar motivated type of guy. Some of you guys say, I'm going to try to make every fucking dollar I can. And I don't fault you for that either. So I'm just prefacing this as a way to go into this. So let me show you why wholesalers can thrive in any economy. First, these are some of the top questions that people give me, right? 1, what about competition? There are too many wholesalers. There's too many YouTube channels. This shit's getting too saturated, blah, blah, blah. 2, are there enough deals? 3, who's going to buy my deals? How do I find these people? So look, competition versus collaboration. I did a video on this. Some of you guys saw it. I'll try to recap this really quickly. Every single semester, hundreds of thousands of universities graduate classes of hundreds of thousands of doctors and lawyers, and I don't hear anybody saying, hey man, are there too many doctors, too many lawyers, it's too saturated. Dude, you probably know more teachers, more doctors, more lawyers, more every other single profession than wholesalers. There's a very small amount of us. I've been in this business for like a decade. A lot of these wholesalers, they're fly-by-night, they come and go. A lot of them do it part-time, or they do it as a means to an end and then go on to like rehabbing, stuff like that. There's really far less serious wholesalers than you think, and it's really not a big deal. I promise you that, number 1. Number 2 is this is not a zero-sum game. Meaning, wholesaling is unique in that you can make a lot of money and do more business with your so-called competition if you focus on relationship building and networking. Meaning, because the way our business works, it's not just like, okay, you put a property in the contract and then try to like get the highest price. Well, you do try to get the highest price, but it's not like you hold it forever until you wait out for the highest price. There are things like inspection periods. The clock ticks very fast. So typically the goal, like many wholesalers, will sacrifice a larger profit, myself included, to close faster. We just want to close and go to the next one. We want to work volume. And so that means like, if you're a doctor or a lawyer and like your client goes to another doctor or another lawyer, you lost that business. You lost that client. It's gone. As a wholesaler, if somebody else gets a property under contract, you can bring the buyer and you guys split the deal. Likewise, if you have a property under contract, you should reach out to every wholesaler, email them, call them. Hey man, I got this deal in Miami. Do you have buyers there? Hey, send it to your buyers if you wouldn't mind. And I'll be super transparent with you and let you know what's going on. And if you can bring a buyer, we'll split it 50-50. Not only is that, and then a lot of people say, I don't want to split 50-50, blah, blah, blah. But number 1, take the guarantee, okay? Because the guarantee is always better than, what's that saying? Let me not try to butcher this. Well, bird in the hand is better than like 2 in the bush or whatever. Like, take the sure thing. You're not going to run out of deals. And number 2, the relationship, man. I can't even quantify that for you. The relationship's so powerful. It's like the golden goose, the goose that lays golden eggs. Don't worry about the damn goose, man. Like, build that relationship. And then also, just as human beings, if you guys have ever read the what is it, psychology, influence, the power of influence by Robert Cialdini. It's one of the biggest things that influence people. I think he goes to like 5 primary things, but there's this concept of reciprocity. So when you're making someone else money, like, granted, it's mutually beneficial, you guys helping each other, but like, you bring a deal to someone else or you bring a buyer, the next time they're going to want to do deals with you. And you can do tons of deals that way. So my point here is, I know I ramble sometimes, guys, but thanks for bearing with me. But you don't need to worry about competition. You need to start focusing on collaboration and building networks and working with people. And you guys can do a lot of business together. That's the point I was trying to get to. All right, and next thing is about the number. There will always be motivated sellers and distressed real estate. I want to repeat that. Always, always, always. Now, we talked about earlier, like, things happen. Things like the pandemic. Things like a recession, a global recession, a war, a hurricane, I don't know, a storm, whatever it is, economy, it doesn't really matter, but those things happen. But what's separate, which kind of make like spikes for wholesalers in particular, but there are also everyday things that happen where there's always going to be deals to be made, right? So even if we look back at the past 5 years, inventory was historically low, and that means relative to what it's been. That's true. It has been historically low. But then I see people whining like, "Oh, what if there's no deals? There's not going to be any deals." Blah blah blah. Here were the facts, right? This is when there's low inventory. In 2018, one every 2,486 homes in the United States was in some stage of the foreclosure process, and it's happening to people every single day. Every 13 seconds, there's one divorce in America. Those numbers are crazy. That's 2,419,196 divorces per year. According to United Nations, approximately 7,452 people die every day in the United States. That's one death every 12 seconds. Average of 54,549 people were laid off or fired each day, including weekends and holidays in 2016 during the height of our economic boom. This is a video. It's on my YouTube channel. You guys can check it out. I was actually out just doing Snapchat. I didn't even intend to make this into a video. I was like, hey, man, let me see if we can find any leads driving for dollars. And found 12 leads in less than an hour. And with the internet, right, if you live in like some weird, like mildly populated place in the middle of like Idaho or something, you can virtually wholesale, man. You can do this entire business virtually. You guys can work in my market, and I'll be happy because I will collaborate, like we talked about with you. And if you can bring me a property, I'll send it to my buyers. If the numbers make even any kind of sense, I'll just end up sending you a check, man, and I'll be happy to do that because I'll get half a check as well. My point is, there's always going to be deals, okay? And that was all before the pandemic. Remember, we talked about this earlier. 85% want to sell, 15% want to sell. So now, who is going to buy these deals? Cash buyers, man. Cash buyers are the lifeblood of your business. They're fast. Hard money or private money, by the way, is the same as cash. OPM, other people's money. It's like Rich Dad, Poor Dad 101. You don't have to deal with things like appraisals. There's no third-party approval. You don't have contingencies like, oh, I'm going to buy this, but I got to sell this other house first. And let's go back real quick. Spoiler alert. If I ask you guys right now, what percentage of people do you think purchase houses with cash, like using this method or hard money? Let me know in the chat. And I'll just tell you, for me, I would say when I first got into this business, I don't know, less than 10%. That's what I thought. But no, the National Association of Realtors says cash buyers account for 33% of home purchases. Realty Track says cash buyers account for 40%. And guys, these are not like some outdated numbers from like the 80s. You'll see the statistics I pulled from their websites. Like this is during coronavirus, and like that is real shit. And then if you're in a hot investor market like I am, look at this. Miami and Fort Lauderdale, 64% of purchases made with cash. Las Vegas, 62%. Tampa, 58%. Detroit, 56%. Orlando, 53%. New York, 49%. New Orleans, 43%. So on and so on. There's a crazy amount of cash buyers. Don't let your limiting beliefs, like if I couldn't buy it cash means other people don't. No, cash buyers are doing that. And investors who are smart, they're using other people's cash, credit, financing, hard money, private money. But because they know how to do it and run the game, dude, like that's how it works. Mars is a smart dude. I wouldn't have known that when I started. But yeah, you're exactly right, man. And remember, real estate is cyclical. It's up and down, right? It just happens like that typically in like cycles of about 10 years. And cash buyers, like basically wholesalers can thrive in a boom or a bust, right? So during a boom, everything's good. There's tend to be more buyers, and it's kind of like that everyone wants a piece of the pie. Like all the, I don't know, news shows and the financial advisors are saying you should buy real estate, you should buy real estate. And then you have like mom and pops who like maybe they took their whole retirement savings, they cash out their 401k or whatever, and they're trying like, okay, let me try to get in this real estate thing, right? So you have unseasoned, inexperienced buyers, but you have ease of lending, a lot of rehabbers. So wholesalers can make a killing because everyone's trying to get a property. And then during a bust, stuff's going down. Now you have more inventory. There's probably going to be less buyers. Like mom and pop can't buy as much. It's not as much. People are not lending as much, stuff like that. Prices get a little bit lower. But now that's when you can make a killing because the buyers who are liquid, seasoned, and experienced investors, they know that is the time to buy as much as possible, right? And then you get also a lot of international buyers, stuff like that. Because think about it, we get very spoiled with things like FDIC insured banks. We're like, okay, our money's safe, right? We're in the United States. A lot of places, And remember, economies change, even though we have our global economy, but things differ. But they don't have that type of insurance, man. They just like they just want to park their money, their bank, in like some secure U.S. real estate, right? So these are some things to keep in mind. Holders, like some people want to buy and like flip within like 4 weeks, and some people want to buy and hold this shit for the next 50 years, or they want to buy and hold it and pass it down to the next generation, next generation. So think about it like stocks, right? So when stocks fall during the bad times, the average person, what do? They read the news line, they panic, and then they say, oh shit, we gotta sell. Even if we sell a lot, sell, sell, sell. But during those times, experienced and knowledgeable investors, that's when they buy as much as possible. So like you're like that middleman. So again, when the market's good, the masses buy as wholesalers, we can profit. And again, they buy a lot. And when it's so-called bad, that's when the investors come in, the more seasoned, more experienced, maybe more liquid people, and then they buy a lot, right? And so as a wholesaler, you could thrive in both good and bad markets, kind of point I'm making. So through cycles, different types of buyers, but buyers still buying. I took the screenshot when Corona first started, and people were saying, people are asking me if I'm still doing deals right now. Just wholesalers last week, 50K profit, didn't touch the property, period. And then goes on and on. But that was like when everyone was panicking and our first shutdown happened. And people weren't sure like what was happening, and people were still investing. That's what I'm saying. Like even right now, as I'm shooting this live, things are a little bit more stable. But well, I think some things are gonna shake up. But my point is, even when this happened, people were still investing. And just so you kind of drive this home, here's how and why investors benefit from real estate even during a recession. Rents often increase in a down economy. You have tax benefits. I think I'll get into that in a second. Purchasing power is a big one, right? So if you want to buy $100,000 worth of stock, you need $100,000. You want to buy 100K in Bitcoin, you need 100K. You want to buy $100,000 worth of real estate, you can buy that with $10,000. Back to the tax benefits, right? Asset appreciation. You buy something for 100 grand, the economy goes well, it's going to be worth 120. But at the same time, on your taxes, you get to claim depreciation. So that asset that's worth $100,000, you can say on your taxes, well, now it's a year older. So I don't know, the floor is older, the driveway's cracked up, this needs work, this one is depreciated, and you get to claim that on your taxes, right? So you have that double-edged sword. Real estate's tangible, man. If you buy a company, I don't know if you guys remember Enron or what have you, but you buy a company, you put all your money into it, the company goes out of business and it fucking dies, man. You lose that money, it's out. Real estate, let's say the market goes up, you buy something, then it crashes, and then maybe the value goes down temporarily, but it's land. You can reach out, you can grab it, you can touch the building, right? It's there, it's physically there, and it will be there, and real estate will always come back. So again, just to drive this home one more time, cash buyers are still buying, and Warren Buffett, our friend, the value investor, would try to buy real estate again during the dips. So you're gonna be good no matter where we are. Be fearful when others are greedy, be greedy when others are fearful. So how do we find these cash buyers? Remember, not all buyers are created equally. When I first started, I would advertise on like Craigslist, and my list was growing. But I got thousands of buyers on the list, but then I found out like a lot of these guys are inactive. Like they're on my list, they're opening my emails, but they may be tire kickers or realtors or other wholesalers, new investors. Maybe they just went to like the Fortune Builder seminar or whatever it is, but they weren't buying properties. So what is the best indicator of future behavior? Someone let me know in the chat. What do you think it is? And here is the spoiler alert. The FBI teaches new agents that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So here's how I built a massive buyers list with quality repeat cash buyers. So here are the steps. When somebody purchases a property, the information goes into the public record. And with that, they're going to write the loan amount and the lender name. That's what it's going to look like on a traditional mortgage. When there is no lender, that means the purchase was made with cash. And, there could be mistakes made and errors, and it's not 100%. But for the most part, it's cash purchase. So you're not going to see this information. So what you want to do is grab that list. And I'll talk to you guys about how you can get that information. But a couple different sources. And then you just send them, do some direct mailing. This converts very well. Send them in a letter in the mail. It's the template I use. It says, hey, man, my name is Mike. I own this, blah, blah, blah. A little bit of background. I saw you purchase this property, and then you cite that. And you can mail merge this stuff, or there's different software you use, so you can do it instantly, because that gives you some credibility. Like, I know what you did, right? I have other stuff, or I have another property there. contact me. Here's my phone number. Here's my email. And that's how you get to know these people. Now what I'm doing is I am using very successfully Facebook. And so on Facebook, what I do is I take that same list of information and I use it to create custom audiences. And then I show my ads saying like, hey, this is a new property I have. And I show it directly to those people. And I have been building my list with this method. It's working phenomenally right now. And personally, I use the carousel where I show, okay, this is the property I have available. And then they can scroll through. And I show them previous deals to add some credibility to my name and try to get them over to my website. And then I also have the Facebook pixel on there where you could further like follow up with them as well. Some other ways you can find cash buyers and advertise a specific property. Ask other wholesalers to blast your deal and offer to split your profits. Attend RIA meetings, even if post-COVID those are like online. Still attend. Post on classified ads, so sites like Craigslist, Bigger Pockets, My House Deals. You can use reverse bandit signs. Facebook, I talked about using Facebook ads, but you should also be joining groups. So join the groups, make posts for scale just to get as many eyes on it as possible. But you also, in those groups, you're going to see admins and you're going to see certain people are more active than others. You want to actually message those people individually for conversion, right? So you want to talk to actual people. What a novel idea. Okay, so this is the recap, guys. We talked about why right now is the best time to start wholesaling, how to do deals with $0 and limited time. The free source I talked about starting for the majority of you if you're on a very limited budget would be the MLS deals. We talked about some of the reasons wholesalers fail, and then I just showed you how you can find the best cash buyers in your market. Which brings us to our drum roll, please, our Q&A session. Now, check it out. I've done similar presentations in the past, and at this point, this is typically where I'll tell you guys a little bit about some of the programs that I offer, or typically my specific wholesaling with Mike University. And at that time, because I know you guys are like rocking with me, and I'll make like a special offer or throw in some bonuses to purchase the course. I'm actually not going to do that today, as I promised. I said I want to do a pure content, pure value course, and I don't want to keep you guys too late. And I gotta do have some things I gotta do too. So I want to get to your questions. But I will say this, and I'll just take 2 minutes to say this, and then you guys can actually start dropping your questions right now. We looked at a couple different deals throughout the course of this, and I have a lot. Even after this slide, we can look at it later if we don't have enough questions or whatever. I have a lot of testimonies. I have a lot of students who've been very, very successful. This plan works for anybody if you don't cut the corners and actually do the work. But the one thing that they have in common, like they've all been through, I have the dope information. Like, I'm not trying to sound egotistical, but I have really, really good content. And if you are interested in that stuff, I'll just ask you to kind of reach out to me. You can hit me up on social media, shoot me an email, or visit my website, wholesalingmike.com. There'll be information on there. Highly recommend you check it out. But like I said, I don't want to do that today. I really just want to focus on the Q&A. But I will make you one invitation, right? It's going to take just a second, but I just mentioned this, right? One, I really want to stress that anybody can do this. I promise you that if you have the work ethic, I can absolutely teach this to anybody, right? You do need a customized plan. Generic information, it's good. It's probably not going to work for you. Your plan should be customized based on your market, your time available, your internal, external resources that are available to you, how much money you have to spend, if any, things like that, right? And so I want to invite you. I'm still doing every week. I put away a certain number of slots, 1 hour slot here and there to do one-on-one coaching calls, right? And this is an informational call. It is on a first come, first serve basis. And what we do is we talk about where you are in your business, and I try to give you as much value as I could possibly give you within an hour that is catered to you. We've been on this call for hour and a half, something like that. There's but so much. Dude, I've been doing this business for 10 years and learning as I go. It's just but so much I could teach you during that time. And I just want you guys to know this is an informational call. Like, I do not do hard sales. This is not something for me to pitch. If I feel like I have to sell somebody, we're probably not a good fit. I do have, when you'll see when you go to book your call, there's something that says, hey man, are you interested in mentoring? If you're not, I still want to talk to you. And the reason I do that is because that's how, like I said, I do really enjoy. I'm very, very passionate about teaching this. I love teaching this. I love seeing people that know me and in my circle getting results. But also, man, like I told you guys, I'm very straightforward. I like building out my network. If I can provide value, like we'll probably do business together in the future or something like that, right? So I'm still very much happy to talk to you. But if you do want to talk about the mentoring program, I'd be happy to talk to you about that as well. But just know that like I cannot guarantee spots. And that's the other reason I can't do hard sells, because I wouldn't want to sell everyone who into that program. It's not going to be a good fit for a lot of people, but I can't manage it, right? So I like, out of fairness to my students, I don't use VAs or employees or anything for my one-on-one. One-on-one is all with me. So basically the way that it works is like I take a limited number of mentoring clients every month, and in fairness to them, I'm not going to oversaturate myself. So don't feel intimidated. Oh, Mike's going to try to sell me for mentoring. I can't sell anybody if I wanted to. I don't have the space. I have a wait list as it is now. So I do want to encourage you, like, hit me up, man. Like, I'll drop the link in a second. Just pop your information in there. Just tell me, like, are you new? Have you done deals? Whatever. And then we'll talk about it. And like I said, I do have, like, I stick by all my programs. If you have something I feel like you'd benefit from, you might not have anything. You might just need to have a 5-minute talk with me, or it's going to be more than 5 minutes. But listen, if you talk to me for 1 hour, I promise you it'll probably save you about 6 months of trying to do trial and error. And I know that sounds maybe a little cocky, but I'm dead serious, man. Like, I've had that and if anybody on here has been on one of those calls, please, like, if you could just like tell them your experience on it. I've never had a bad review ever on any one of those calls. Watch me get one now. No, but seriously, I've never ever had that. Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I stand by my program. So if you need something, I'll be happy to sell it to you, right? But I'm not gonna hard sell you. You might just want to have a conversation, and not only do I want to network with people, but I get a lot of ideas for my YouTube videos from these conversations. So that's how I benefit personally. And for some of you, you might just want like scripts. You might want something I can just give you for free, like contracts. If you want that, I just give it to you. If you want my scripts, I'm gonna charge you $20. I'm gonna give it to you. If you want to get my course, I'll give it to you. If you want, I have a group coaching. I'll talk to you about that. And if you want to do one-on-one, I'll talk to you about that. There are different price points. There are payment plans. There's finance, all that type of shit. But my point is, like, I'm legitimately here to help. I'm not going to ever sell you something you don't need or anything like that. I just don't want you to be shy. That's my point. So the site, I have it back here. It's wholesalermike.info/call. Go there. There's more details. It's whatever you need. It's not hard sales. I don't do any of that shit. Book a call, and we'll talk, and I will do my best to help you to the best that I can. Sound fair? Sound good? All right, cool, man. So let's go ahead and get up into these questions, and I got a couple of chats. Now again, I do have to get out of here at a decent time. So, all right, I got a little bit of time here. Let's get into it. All right. Which one do we start with? Because we got a couple chats scrolling at the same time. I think I may start with the YouTube. All right, bear with me, guys. Do you need a license to access the MLS? Well, like, if you're a licensed realtor, you'll get access to the MLS, like, through your brokerage. But if you don't have a license, there are ways to get access to it. You can actually partner with a realtor, and they can give you, like, I forget exactly what they call it, but it's like partner access to the MLS. So you can see it that way. There's software that you can pay for to get access. But for a lot of you guys, the information that if you don't have that, actually, let me rephrase that. Like, you should be able to get that, right? You could talk to a realtor and talk to them about how you could provide value to them. And even if the first realtor says no thank you, the second one says no thank you, if you are persistent, you can get that access, right? Just through persistence. Or you could get licensed. You can do that as well. But there's no excuse why you couldn't get it that way. And it's going to make it a lot easier. Or you can just pay for it. Like I said, you're going to pay for in money or time. But you probably know a realtor who would just say yes anyway, even if you don't provide value. But I'm encouraging you to do that. Or you can pay for it and still get the information. But in terms of, like, if you were using it just to search, It's obviously better to have MLS. You can have like better comps and more information and get listing agent comments and listing agent information, contact, all that stuff. But if you're just starting and you just want to do like basic searches, even using something like Zillow, or some of the like, the Zillows and Trulias or whatever, it's not a bad place to start. It's better than nothing. Obviously, the MLS stuff is better, gives you more information, and I encourage you to get access to that, whether you pay for it or kind of negotiate your way in there. But until you do that, you shouldn't wait to do. I mean, you can get that done today, but you shouldn't necessarily like wait for it. Start searching with like Zillow and stuff like that. All right. If the numbers work, why can't you pull leads from? Oh, we talked about that already. I think that was more or less like us agreeing on that. So wouldn't the realtor ask for proof of funds? Do we tell them realtors that we are wholesalers? Lorraine, this is such a good question. And if I answered it fully, it's going to take me about an hour because it's a lot to go through. So what I'm going to do is I am going to give you a condensed version of the answer because you are here live and I always appreciate that. But I'm also going to direct you to go to my YouTube channel where I have a video called Should You Tell Them That You're a Wholesaler? Watch that in its entirety. And then I have an existing proof of funds video, but I'm going to update that. And I'll probably drop that next week. So the long answer for the Should You Tell Me You're a Wholesaler is on my YouTube channel already. Proof of funds, there's an older one, but I'll update it for next week. So should you tell realtors you're a wholesaler? In my opinion, you should not. I also don't think you should necessarily lie to people. I'm not recommending you do that, but it's none of your, it's for lack of a better word, it's none of your goddamn business what I'm a wholesaler, right? What I'm doing. The way I oftentimes phrase this, because two things. Number one, it's not that you're trying to be misleading or dishonest, but number one, many realtors are not, or agents or homeowners or sellers, they may not be familiar with wholesaling. So they just might not be sure what you're trying to do, and or it can be a red flag because so many people have kind of done this improperly. They're very skeptical about working with wholesalers. Like some wholesalers, maybe they're not as diligent with their offers. Maybe they make it way too high and they don't have a buyer's list and they're not as aggressive at marketing, and then they wait until like 4:59 on the day of cancellation and they cancel it, or they go past inspection period and don't put up money, and then the day of closing they just go ghost. Like those types of people, which kind of give us a bad name, right? And so that's why I would recommend you do not say it's a wholesaler. Like the analogy I always make is like, dude, if you're going to buy a car, the dealer, is he gonna be like, well, what you using this car for, man? Are you gonna use this to, like, I don't know, drive cross country? Or are you just driving it daily because that's gonna impact me selling it to you? Or are you gonna drive it down the block and resell it to somebody else and make a profit off it? Or are you gonna resell it, at another dealership? It's like, man, maybe I will, maybe I won't. It's none of your damn business. It's like, am I buying this car for $40,000 or am I not? Like that's all you really need to know. And so I kind of say it on a need-to-know basis, right? So what I do is, again, I do not lie, and I do not recommend being dishonest, but I just don't really go into there. And then if they kind of probe a little bit, what I always say is I am an investor, which you are, that is honest, and I'm, I kind of leave my options open. There are different ways you can phrase that. I talk about it in the YouTube video a little bit, but it's like this, right? It depends on the deal. Like when people talk to me, and I have done rehabs and I do have rentals, stuff like that. So I'll say, you know what? Obviously I still got to look at the property, inspect it, or I got to send my guy out to look out and inspect it. My guys, could be a GC, but a lot of times it's gonna be my end buyer. But I say, so I'm looking at this for myself, but my options are open. Meaning that if I bring in a funding partner to finance the deal, I'll bring them in. If I feel like, letting them buy me out of the agreement, which is essentially wholesaling, I'll let them do that. If I want to buy it myself, now let's say like a lot of you guys, you may not have the money to buy this yourself, but realize that if you're using, let's say, hard money, private money, these guys are not lending to you based, to a degree they are, but primarily they're not lending to you based on your personal credit. This loan is backed by the asset. So if the deal's a good deal and they're loaning based on like the value of that asset, they'll give you the money. Meaning like, For example, if there's a house right now that's worth $100,000 and you can get it under contract for $40,000, if you don't have $40,000, I guarantee you I can get you the $40,000 to buy the property and give you the money to do the rehab. It's like the Empire State Building. If one of you guys could get under contract for $1 million, you would be able to buy it cash. You know why? I don't know, because that building's probably worth like $1 billion. Somebody would loan you the money. So when you talk, this is why I talk about changing your mentality. When you talk about I'm buying for myself or I'm interested in buying for me, it's not dishonest because it's contingent on the price point you're getting. And so meaning if you can get the deal where the numbers make sense based on your inspection, which is what you're putting in your contract, well, at that point, you may wholesale it, you may keep it, you might want to, rehab it or what have you. So there are ways that you can kind of talk around it where you don't have to mention. I don't recommend doing that. In terms of the proof of funds, now, this is like an interesting one, and I can ramble on this forever. I'm going to drop a video on this next week. Highly, highly recommend you watch it because that video I'm probably going to make it like an hour. To make this a short point, there are different levels and types of proof of funds. The only proof of funds that's truly a proof of funds is going to be your bank statement. I'm at a place now where I can use that for the majority of my deals. But when I first started, remember, I had nothing. So what did I do? I use a very generic free proof of funds letter. I've had ones from my mentor, but there's stuff like besttransactionalfunding.com. You guys are probably a lot of familiar with them. They're going to convert the lowest. They're going to convert maybe 40, 50% of the time. Well, that sucks for 50% of deals, but you still have 50% that are in the game, right? So you can use those. Then you have stuff like Kogo Capital, right? And those are like $5 per letter. They're a little bit better because they like specify your name, the property. They look a little bit more legit. Most people are not as familiar with them. And so maybe those convert at 60%, 70%, something like that. Then my recommended one, or my recommended one that you like purchase would be getpof.com, and that one's really good. The first one's free, the second one's $5 per letter. The other one you can put unlimited letters for like $97 a month, or they give you a discount if you buy annual. It's like $600 or $700 annually. That one's dope because you get a proof funds letter, but it includes a bank statement. So yeah, it's not your bank statement, but it's a statement showing funds in the bank, and then it says they're loaning it to you. So it's basically pre-qualification for a hard money loan, which is technically not cash, but it'll do the job for probably like 80% of your deals. Those are your top options. And in the way that I learned along my journey is to do this. You need to reach out to a hard money lender. Obviously, these are pretty investor-friendly guys, but like your local REIA will usually have one that they work with. If they're not lending personally themselves, and you say, listen, I'm a wholesaler. I'm going to be getting a lot of discounted properties and advertising to buyers. What I can do for you, remember, anytime you want something from somebody, you got to stop thinking about the shit that you want. You got to think about why it's in their best interest. And that's not me in any shady way. Like, you should be doing it. That's how networking works, right? So you say, like, all right, lost my train of thought. I'm going to be getting a lot of properties and a lot of investors. And I wanted to send them to you, so you can make business, so you can make money off those loans. Imagine I bring you 10 buyers in the next month, and that you could close those properties, right? But in order to do that, can you just give me a proof of funds letter, to help me get the business, so I could help me get the house, so I can send them to you? And basically, that'll be an actual legit hard money lender who will vouch for you, and they will give you a hard money loan, like a proof of funds letter with a bank account as well. And oftentimes you'll get that for free. Now, that means you're going to have to build some rapport, and it also means you need to make a commitment to following through on that promise. Now, if you call a hard money lender, ask that, some of them are going to say no thanks. Second one might say no, third one might say no. You might have to call 10, but one of them will probably say yes, and they will just give that to you. And so that's where it comes down to. And we talked about some of the reasons why people fail, just not being a fucking quitter, man. Like, oh man, 2 people said no to me. Like, I can't do this. It doesn't work. Again, stop being a little bitch. Like, be, I don't know, tenacious. Be relentless about the shit that you want for your life. And that's why you have to have the why. Like, everything we started talking about almost 2 hours ago, it is all connected, guys. And so that's why you have to just have that grind and go and go and go. Guys, One thing I'm going to tell you, the most powerful thing you can do for yourselves right now, if you have not done this, of all the things I've recommended, well, there are two things. The most powerful thing you can do is book that call, hit me up, and let me talk to you one-on-one. Second most powerful thing you can do, or maybe equally powerful, but especially in terms of motivation, go to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Mike Hill, the Wholesaling Titan, or just go to the search bar and type in Mike Hill Titan. I'll pop up. Watch the interview that I did with the king of Miami real estate. This is a dude. I won't go into this full story, but just so you know, he came here a couple of years ago and did not speak. And when I say a couple, I mean less than 10 years ago. Did not speak English and was homeless for about 7 years. That dude's a multi-millionaire living in Miami right now. He tells you the whole story of how he did it. The guy is such an inspiration for me, and anyone who's watched that interview, like that shit should have been like Oprah. I felt like the dopest person in the world after doing that. Even though I did nothing but like listen to him. Trust me, like you can't just listen to things I say. You have to actually do them. All right. Okay, so proof of funds. That's kind of the first part, but there's a second, possibly more important part, and I'm gonna dive more into that on the longer video. But that's this, man. For certain deals, the proof of funds is absolutely necessary and needs to be verified. That's in the case of like a short sale, for example. But a lot of deals, the proof of funds is basically just a way for the either agent or the seller to basically vet you, to basically make sure that you're not bullshitting them. And that can be indicative, not always, but in a lot of cases, you maybe said something that made them unsure. Which is why you need to practice, you need to call, you need to network, you need to talk to people so you can kind of talk the talk. And what I call more or less posture, again, I'm not telling you to say anything dishonest or anything like that. Don't do that. But posture as if you are probably a little bit bigger or doing more deals than you are, or a little bit more experienced or confident. So things like even saying, I talk about talking the talk a lot, right? If you go to a bar and you say, can I have a whiskey drink, is different than going to a bar and saying Jack on the rocks. That means you're in the biz. They call it in the biz, like talking to talk. So when I'm talking to either sellers or agents, when I'm emailing or talking, I'll say I'll send you HMB, I'll send you EMD, things like that. That means highest and best offer, your best terms. I'll say I'll send you EMD instead of earnest money deposit. I do that on purpose because it shows that I know what I'm talking about. And some of that comes through experience, but some of that stuff you can learn like by being on calls like this. So that's a part of it. The other thing you have to realize is, so kind of talk the talk. But the other thing you want to realize is like a lot of those other types of deals, whether it's with a seller or, through an agent, whatever, the contract itself is not contingent on a proof of funds letter, meaning like they can ask for it. But if the seller executes the contract, it's not contingent on having that. Meaning, like, let's say I send an offer to Lorene, and Lorene's an agent, right? And she hits me back and says, "Hey, man, I got your offer, but I got to see proof of funds, right?" So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my mindset. I'm gonna borrow from my future self. Let's say I don't have the money. I'm just starting off 10 years ago. I'm going to borrow from my future self and say, I know I'm going to get there, right? She's kind of being an impediment to my progress. And I'm going to act like, imagine who's the richest person you know. Well, love him or hate him. Imagine Donald Trump. Imagine like Robert Kiyosaki, whatever. Imagine someone asking them for proof of funds letter. In their mind, they're going to be like, you know who the fuck I am? Do you know who I am? Like, that's how they're going to think. And think how that attitude is going to come through their mouth. So you want to articulate in that way, like, are you serious? Like, not in an obnoxious way, but like, you want to have that expectation, like, dude, really? Like, you know who you're talking to? But I'm just saying, that's the attitude, the aura that you want to have. Because people can hear you. Think about when you talk to people, man. You can tell when someone's hesitant. You can tell when someone's lying. You can tell when someone's full of shit. So this is why I always tell you, call and talk to people. That's important in helping your delivery. But you want to have that, like, that aura of, like, yo, I got this, man. Why are you stressing me? And then you just tell them, like, oh, yeah, no problem. That's the biggest thing. Not a problem. I didn't even realize I didn't send it. Not a big deal. So it's like, hey, man, yeah, not a problem. I'm actually on the road right now, or I'm actually, maybe you're out of town, whatever it is. Hey, I'm actually out of town right now. But, you know what? Just have the seller send me back the contract because I want to get my inspector over there, my guy over there, my GC over there, my partner over there, whoever it is, and I'll send you the proof of funds as soon as I get home. Well, then what happens is you've made them confident that you're going to close, and you should, right? But if that buyer, I'm sorry, the seller signs the contract, sends it back to you, well, it's not contingent on proof of funds. And then later, if they're like, well, where's proof of funds? I mean, literally, if you didn't send it, you have executed contract, so it doesn't matter. But then at that point, you can use a free proof of funds, go to best transaction funding, print something out, send it to them. They say, hey man, this is like something you downloaded online. I don't want to accept this. It's like, well, it's not my problem, man. Because I mean, don't say it in an obnoxious way. But my point is, like, well, it doesn't matter if you really like that or not. Like, it is what it is. Like, that's the proof of funds that I'm using, and we're in contract. So it is what it is. And then the other part of that, like I said, I'm going to do a longer video on this, but the other part of that is like, sometimes if you do send a proof of funds letter initially, and then they hit you back and they say, we're not accepting this, then you want to almost be like, well, you want to be almost annoyed. Like, what are you talking about? You're not accepting that. You'd be like, I use hard money for all my deals. It's never been a problem. And they're going to be like, well, what are you talking about? Or they might try to like push back on you a little bit, right? And so what you're going to do is you're going to explain to them, they're going to say, this is not the same as cash. You say, no. It shows up as cash the day of, right? It shows up as cash the day of. I've never had a problem with this. Because basically what it is, it's a shit test. It's them testing you to see if you know what you're doing, if you're going to come through. And if you push back, sometimes they're going to say, no, you know, we're just not accepting this. And then the deal's dead, or you can like see if you can find another thing or pull another proof of funds letter or something like that. Or you can say, no, we use this all the time. Like, tons of people use hard money. It shows up as cash at the same day. Shouldn't be a problem. And a lot of times, almost probably like 50% of the time, when I've done that in the past, like when I was using those types of letters, they would come back and be like, okay, all right, well, you know, yeah, well, I guess we'll take it. You know, when you just show that you're a little bit more experienced. And so, again, I ran a little bit longer than I wanted to on that, and it's just coming off top. So I didn't get to give you like the full deep dive, but I didn't want to take too much time on that. So that's kind of like everything I'm going to flesh out when I get into the video that I'll drop for you guys last week. Because someone asked me this in a previous training. So it's on my list of things to do. I'm a realtor. I see deals, but I need investors with cash. I think we kind of addressed that when we talked about how to find cash buyers. If you're in Florida, you should send me an email immediately because my network of cash buyers is huge, and I'm also cool with a lot of I got a large network of not only other wholesalers but other realtors as well. I can help you talk more about that. You can add to comments to the replay, guys. I do have to go shortly. I'm going to try and take a few more questions, but I am going to look at the comments under the replays in the Facebook group, in the Facebook, on my page, my Wholesaling Titan page, and my YouTube. So if you're watching this on a replay, leave comments down below. I'll get back to those for you. Some of them I'm going to turn into YouTube videos. You can also send me emails, and you can reach out to me on social media. Instagram is preferred. MikeHillTWT, sliding DMs. And what's the last thing I have, man? And book your call, because that's where you're going to get. Listen, if you hit me on Instagram, like I'm trying to grow my following. I'm appreciative, and I love communicating that way, but I'm not the greatest texter. Like, I'm just being straight up. I'm trying to make it more of a habit. I don't check it that often, but think about it. If you're asking me a complicated question, I'll text you back, but there's so much I can say in like 5 lines of text. You book a call, we'll talk. I usually, allocate those 45 minutes to an hour. No obligation, anything like that, completely free. No push or anything like that. So we can go ahead and talk about that, and that'll be totally cool. All right? So let's hit the next question. I want to wholesale, but I have limited funds. Is there a joint venture agreement that you would recommend if I find someone to put up the earnest money deposit? Yeah. Send me a direct message and just comment joint venture agreement, and I will I'll go ahead and send you the contract. And as far as earnest money deposit, that's the next video that I'm going to be putting out there. I'm going to talk to you guys a lot about how to go about putting your earnest money deposits, where to get the money, how to get that type of stuff done, and all that good stuff, okay? Is it mandatory to add buyer address on sale and purchase agreement with wholesale? Like, if you don't do it, if you skip it, man, you can still do the contract, but it's still recommended to do that. Wait, hold on. Are we talking about, like, your end buyer? and which purchase sales agreement. Like if you're talking about an A to B contract, you do not want to put your end buyer's information on that contract. So it depends if you're assigning or if you're doing the B2C contract. So that is yeah, that's important. Who we got here? James. I will see you soon. Jace, Alex, Mitch. What up? What up, people? Good to see you guys. I'll be seeing some of you folks very shortly. Especially this savage man over here that just joined. What up, man? I'm winding down here. Finishing up the last of my quotes. Lolly, what up? What up? When can we talk business? We can talk in a little bit. I'm gonna be in the car shortly, and I will be happy to I'll give you a buzz when I'm driving, man. I think I have your latest phone number, so yeah. What up? Can you wholesale if you're not from the USA and live outside the US? So I have students right now that are wholesaling that do not live in the United States, and I have I'm coaching them. I've had a student do deals with Grenada, another student in Germany. However, they've had citizenship here, and they have banks here, bank accounts here. So if you don't have that information, I can't answer that for you, and it might depend on where you are. So I can look into that for you, but I can't tell you definitively because I don't know how all that stuff works depending on the country you're in. All right. So we made it through this list. I'm still pretty much on time. Kept it to about just a little bit over 2 hours. I want to thank you guys for joining me. It's always a pleasure. As you can hopefully see and tell, I'm very, very passionate about this stuff, and I really want to thank you guys for being here. Don't let this end. I encourage you to go back, watch the replay. I'll keep that up for a few days to go over the stuff that you might have missed. I will go back and review the replays where this is saved and look for your comments over the next few days to guarantee that I answer that stuff for you. And then I recommend, like, I'm here as a resource, guys. I love teaching this shit. Like, this is shit that set me free, gave me a better life, more time, more money, more time with my family, and most importantly, time with my daughter. And also do, like, cool shit that I like to do, like, my MMA, like, even training, man. I couldn't have pursued, like, had my fights and the stuff that I really enjoy doing without this. So I'm very passionate about it. I love to teach it, and I really want to encourage you guys to not be shy, man. I know some of these people, like, oh, I can't talk to them because I haven't done a deal yet, or whatever the bullshit excuse is. My head's not that big, man. So I'm happy to talk to you guys, and if I could be a catalyst and help you in any way, shape, or form, just reach out, man. I do my I'm obnoxious, or you guys know how obnoxious I am already. So reach out, man, and make sure you leave me your comments, and definitely book your call. It's on there. Like I said, it's a free call. There's no obligation. There's no pressure. There's none of that bullshit. wholesalingwithmike.info/call. Short application just to let me know how many deals you've done, maybe where you are, stuff like that. But one thing I will tell you, the slots fill up every single week, right? I still do have a business to run. I get a family to take care of. I got my little baby girl, and I like to have some fun too. So it's not just like I could take unlimited calls. So if you want that, like, I would recommend at this exact same time, go to that website, book your call. I think I'm booked up for what I did have available for the weekend, but I got some stuff starting probably Monday. So make sure you get on there, man. I promise you, it'll save you 1 hour can save you 6 months of trial and error, and I really stick by that statistic. So on that note, I'm gonna get up out of here. Enjoy the rest of my night. You guys have a great one. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm gonna talk to you soon. All right. I'm out of here, guys. Thank you. Thank you. You guys have a blessed night as well. Talk soon. Peace. Peace, y'all. Some of you guys I'll be seeing shortly.